Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the inaugural episode of DnDTime Tales. I'm going to be your dungeon master for the upcoming campaign. I am Pete, and I'm so excited to start building our world, which is going to be what we're going to be doing throughout the first session of DnDTime Tales today, is creating a whole world for us to play the rest of this kind of mini campaign in. Before we do any of that, though, we are going to be introducing our players, who you likely already know from Waterdeep Dragon Heist and DnDTime Delves. But with us, as always, we have James. Hello, James.
Hello.
How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. Just got back from my sister's birthday. Glad I could make it.
I'm glad that you could make that, and also even more glad that you could make this.
Mm-hmm.
When Jeremy said that you had your sister's birthday, I had a momentary panic attack where my heart sunk, and I thought you would be able to be here.
Oh, no. Like, if anything, like, maybe I would have shown up late, and then Jeremy would have been like, well, that means you're not getting in the overlay. Deal with it.
But that sounds about right.
Yeah. Jeremy takes out a hammer and looks towards James with anger in his soul.
And we have you know him as Euchunkus, you know him as Philado, the incomparable Farkle13, who we lovingly call Crowley. Hello, Crowley.
Huh.
You sounded like you were spuds there.
I don't know why I put on a voice.
Oh, no.
How you doing, man?
It just sort of came out. I'm good. I'm good.
Anything new? Anything exciting? Fair enough. Sometimes there's just nothing.
I've been playing a lot of Fire Emblem, actually. So.
Oh, dude.
Three houses?
Yeah, 3 houses. James, which house did you go?
Edelgard's house, of course.
Of course. All right.
You have to go for the waifus. That's how you play Fire Emblem.
It's not true at all.
James, what's the best way to phrase this? How far in are you?
So
mild to no spoilers, please, because I'm
Right.
going to play this.
For all.
How about Kyle? I'm past the time skip. How about that?
Okay.
All right, that works. Fun fact about Fire Emblem games: there's almost always a time skip.
There's another question that makes me want to ask, but I will not ask it.
I sided with Edelgard.
Okay.
And Kyle, Danger 5 Bacon, or Dangerous Bacon, or Kyle is also joining us tonight. You're also on the 3 houses grind?
No, I don't own it currently because of reasons, but I will be.
Fair enough.
I will be buying it. I love Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem's great.
And how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. You know, I played D&D for most of the day today because it was my friend's birthday and he wanted to do a one-shot, so.
Yes. You were playing the machine.
I was playing the machine. For people who don't know, The Machine is a reference to a comedy bit by Bert Kreischer. Just go to YouTube, Google The Machine story, and watch it. It's like 17 minutes. Do it after the stream, but
Yeah,
do
don't
yourself
do it
a favor
now.
and watch it. It's fucking hysterical. Oh my god.
I'm the machine.
I'm the machine.
Kyle showed me this bit when he first told me about this character, and I can confirm it was a very good bit.
It's very, very funny. But yeah, it was a great time. I did the classic Double Ranger, which is a Sorcerer Warlock multi-class, and I shot a fuck ton of things with Eldritch Blast. It was great.
Kyle, you're always such a big fan. Should we expect a
No.
sorcerer or warlock? Okay, you're gonna be
Sorcerer most likely.
Okay,
is
fair
my
enough.
go-to. And I didn't play one last time.
And last but not least, you know him from Pete and Jeremy's D&D time. You know him as the Dungeon Master of Waterdeep Dragon Heist. He's on a lot of other shows on D&D time. He's my partner in crime, my boy, TrustAFlumph, aka Jeremy. Hello, Jeremy.
This is really weird. You've been doing the whole intro, and I've been like wanting to like comment on things, but I know it's not my turn anymore. I get to. This is a weird. I get to. I think play. Play. Is that how they pronounce it? Play.
No, Jeremy, I remember when I was like you.
Right?
Just a starved dungeon master in the rabble.
I get to be a player, right? I get to play a character.
Once you become more experienced, as I have in this last run of Waterdeep Dragon Heist and Delves, it's play, Jeremy. You learn that it's pronounced play.
I don't think that's right.
Well, you'll see in time.
I've heard it pronounced both ways, guys.
If you could say, like, what's the one thing that you like? Like, what are you excited about being a player? What do you want to like do, Jeremy? Now that you have this opportunity.
I don't know. That's the problem. I don't know.
There's just too
Paralyzed by
much.
choice.
Yeah, really. I could be any. I could play something goofy. I could play something goofy with a serious bent to it. I could play something really fucking dark. I could go some weird middle ground. I mean, it could be good. I don't think so, actually. I don't think I want to do dark.
We're not going to get Bucket 2.0.
Oh,
No,
well,
we're not getting Bucket 2.0. I just play a
Gosh.
in that case, Jeremy,
Gore.
to begin narrowing down your choices, we're going to be getting into a lot of stuff today. We're going to be building our world. We're going to start taking a stab at characters. Depending on how well we do, I mean, maybe this will just be one session 0 where we'll build a whole world and build characters. My suspicion is that it'll end up being 2 session 0s, a session 0 and a session 0.5, where we build the world this time, and then next time we really get the characters fleshed out, but we'll see how it goes. But in place of the normal questions, Jeremy always used to ask us questions during Waterdeep Dragon Heist, in which we'd get to know a lot about us through the very intense. What was the original question? I believe was, what's your favorite type of citrus fruit?
Yes.
It might have been, yeah.
So it got pretty personal, and I think you've learned everything that you can about us. I think you know who we are now. So I want to learn about your characters, and I would like all of you right now to tell me one thing about what your character is going to be. And please make it. I suggest for this first one, you make it small, since we know nothing about the world yet. And you can't say I'm a kobold, because then we might be like, this world has no kobolds. So don't do anything. So you just have to make. I want you all to make one completely arbitrary decision about your character. This is inspired, by the way, by one time we were all playing around for a campaign that we adored, and Kyle.
I might do it again. Hang on.
Jeremy says, "Tell me something about your character," and Kyle just off the bat goes, "I can't read. I can't read." And that defined his character
for a long time.
For a long time. And
oh god,
I might do it again. I don't know yet.
And okay, yeah. It's just, I already have people afraid at the idea of this being a no kobold world. I mean, we'll see. This could be an only kobold world. I have no idea. We just don't want to restrict
kobold clerics, everybody.
We just don't want to restrict design space with any of these. So, Jeremy, I'm putting you on the spot first. what's one thing about your character, completely arbitrarily?
My character hates a very specific god.
Fair enough.
I don't know what god it is.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but they hate
have a
god.
hatred of one god. Excellent.
It's very personal hatred.
And we're going in backwards order. So Kyle, tell me one thing about your character.
Shit. God, do I want to snap it off again? I might. It's so tempting.
So, I'm banning you can't read. You gotta pick a different one than your.
Can
your
I
past
choose?
character.
I can't read common. Specifically common. Exactly. I would have a bunch of other languages.
Kyle,
No, I don't want to do that.
Is that
I
your
don't wanna do
choice?
that.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
He has an irrational fear of things talking to him in his brain.
Okay. Fair enough. That sounds like a.
That sounds like a rational fear, honestly.
Yeah, I think there's.
Someone started speaking to me telepathically, I'd freak the fuck out.
But James, I think it's an irrational fear if that's never happened to you before.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's never happened.
I mean, it's totally rational. If you knew that telepaths could
No,
guess.
but so here's the thing. Like, it's irrational because I have no idea whether or not it could exist, right? And I'm just afraid of someone talking to my brain at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what we know about Kyle's character to be named later. Crowley?
My character is from a small village and is 100% not a kobold. And that's not a sarcastic, like, I hope he was actually a kobold. He will not be a kobold.
Good to know.
You're from a very small village, and you are not a kobold.
Not a kobold.
Fair enough. And last but not least, James, tell me one thing about yourself in character.
My
Took
character
so long to think.
is completely oblivious to how other people view him.
All right, I like getting
All right,
that
that's a good one.
getting that personality trait out. I like it.
Also, male, apparently.
Yes. Excellent. I like the way our party's looking. I think you guys are putting together a nice team comp already.
Really?
Yeah, no, I
Really?
can see it. I can see it all blending. There's a story.
Yeah.
There's a story in there. And before we get to it, let's start building a world together, guys. I'm excited. This is, I think, officially where DnDTime Tales begins. And before we talk about the actual world, I want to talk to you guys just about some general sort of session zero-y, like how you guys want to play the game and what we want to get up to throughout the course of this run. It's going to be, we're shooting for, my goal is to shoot for 7 sessions. It might end up coming in a little on the short side. It might end up going a little bit on the long side. We'll see how things play as we play. But the goal is 7 sessions. So in that time, a few questions just about, the logistics, the meta. My first question is, what level ranges do we want to play? There are certain there are certain things throughout the survey I have here as we're going to be building the world that I've kind of made some decisions on, and because we're like experimenting with a lot of different stuff all at once on this, I don't want to play anything crazy high. And I'm just going to kind of flat out say I don't want to do anything crazy high.
So then, Pete,
What's
I guess
crazy
a
high?
question. Yeah, what's your cap?
I'll tell you this, I absolutely don't want to play like 13 plus. I would say that that's like very high.
I was gonna
All right,
say
13,
I wanted to start at maybe like 8 and then finish at 12, if we
That
can.
is
I was
a
thinking-
lot for 6
I know.
sessions, Kyle.
I know.
Yeah,
that's why
I was
like,
thinking maybe
I don't know,
3
maybe
levels,
somewhere in
like
there.
a.
So
I was
we
gonna.
can't do 1 to 20.
We can't do 1 to 20. If
All right,
if we're
guys,
trying to do
7
1 to
minutes in, we
20,
leveled up.
if we were trying to do 1 to 20, then we'd be playing a campaign that was very much built around whatever that was.
See, I was really hoping for a mid to high range game. So I was thinking like 9 to 12.
So you guys are all kind of on the same page. I know we just kind of did a lower level thing. Also, like, I guess the other reason is since I'm going to be jam packing, I don't have anything prepped, obviously, because we're building the world today. So I don't want to try and like prep around Wish in just
Yes.
like one day, 1 week. So you guys seem to be erring on the side of like more mid sort of levels, though. Like,
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about maybe like a nice 7?
Jeremy, what would you?
Fourth level spells.
7?
You're making a face.
Well, it's weird because like right, mechanically, I've got a bunch of stuff that really interests me, but it's a little higher level than that. Like at that level 13 range. I could play a lower level thing though. I got some Beastmasters I'm very interested in trying out.
I mean, if that's what you're feeling, are you guys like? Is there nothing that's in that more like middle ground that would appeal to you, Jeremy?
Pete, I will play anything.
Okay.
I'm totally fine with the middle ground.
So in the range between like starting at 7, 8, 9, 10. So I think those are probably the numbers. Which one of those like calls to you guys?
8, I think.
8.
I
would
like
say,
James 9.
you know, like I like 9, but I will compromise for 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
8. Jeremy, how do you feel about 8?
So how many times do we want to level up throughout the campaign?
Yeah.
I was thinking you
Because
probably
9's
level
a
up.
pretty big power spike.
I was thinking you guys would probably level twice in about
Okay.
7 sessions. So 8,
So
9, 10.
Yeah, because level 10 doesn't really give you anything.
Yeah.
on a
So
lot
you're
of
thinking
classes.
Level 11 gives
I
you
think
a
we
bunch of
should
stuff,
be
though.
an odd class if we're gonna level up twice. If we only level
Yeah.
up once, I think starting on an even class is fine.
I think in that case 7, 8, 9 would work well because then you get that big power spike towards the end of what we're doing.
Cool. I'm fine
Okay.
with that.
So yeah, I think that's decided in that case. We'll do 7, 8, 9, and you guys will be kind of, mid-tier, relatively powerful characters in the context of the world we're in. This is a story probably not
Sure,
about
Yeah.
probably not about your Johnny-come-latelys upstart party.
Mine
This
a
ain't-
tavern.
Well, what if everyone in the world is super magical, Pete?
I mean,
We haven't
we can-
decided this.
we'll find out about that. We'll have to wait and see. So my next question is, what are you guys feeling between combat versus RP? Do you want to run something that's a little bit more heavy on the, more mechanical and more dungeon crawly, battle big things side, or do you want to run something that's more on the intrigue, go around, talk to NPCs, interaction side? And I know that the common answer is, you want both. And I
A
think
healthy
every
balance.
campaign is inevitably going to want to have a balance between that. I didn't know if there was one thing that you guys were feeling maybe going into the extreme of on either direction. Or do you want to go with just like, the standard, mix it up?
I like the standard mix it up simply because if we're just building a world right now where we don't have like solid details about what the world is, I think just kind of soft committing to an even balance and then maybe coming back to it near the end once we've fleshed out the world a bit more would be a better
Absolutely.
idea.
And I think that's something
Yeah.
that we're going to do
Yeah.
with all
Yeah.
of these, which is as we've been building things, they're definitely, we don't want to be too beholden to anything we decide because we might find something we really like and that completely invalidates a decision we made early. So I don't want to get hung up on that. But for now, do you guys want to just assume, somewhere in the middle, pretty standard in that regard?
Oh yeah.
Well, it might be cool, right? Because I guess my question, Pete, is are we going to have like a very clear objective over the course of this rather short form thing?
That's another question that I wanted to ask you guys, which
Oh,
I had.
sorry.
Well, no. I had that, kind of planned for later. But I think if we want to talk about that right now, I think there's a couple of ways to run that, which is, actually, I think that'll bring us even to my next question, which is, what are you guys more interested in this more meta point? Do you want to tell a story about your characters, or do you want to tell a story about something that your characters have done? Do you want it to be about you, or do you want it to be a more traditional like D&D, book almost, where you're just, this is the time your 4 characters did this adventure? Which one of those like appeals to you more? Is that kind of a clear distinction that I'm making there? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would probably be more on this is what our characters are doing currently type deal, where maybe there's like a conflict that this is kind of the resolution to.
Okay, so you'd be more interested in a more like, say, plot-driven game where it's like, you guys have all been called to action for some reason, rather than like, this is the story of like, I don't know, your origin story as an adventuring party, or other stuff kind of in that
Yeah.
like, this is like interacting with character backstories and stuff like that.
Yeah,
appeal to me as
because
much.
the whole, I mean, I'm all for interacting with character backstories, but at the same time, if we're only doing like, 5 or so sessions of this, like,
Yeah, like 78 sessions of this, then we don't really have like a whole lot of time to dive into that kind of thing.
Um,
so like,
I
I'm
don't
good.
think personally that the time constraints on that mean that we couldn't tell a story like that. It would just, maybe be a little bit trickier. It'd be a harder story to tell. But
Yeah,
It
yeah, but
might
I
come off
like it when
weird
those
is the
those
problem.
moments really come up naturally,
Okay.
Yeah.
when
So
they
you want to
just
just
kind
do
of bubble
kind of
up to the surface.
okay. So this is and I guess this is what I'm going to come back to later because this will be very world dependent. But the kind of like it seems the general vibe would be you guys have been adventuring together for a while and now you're doing this would probably be the inevitable vibe that we reach.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm hoping for that sort of vibe.
That sounds good.
Well, cool. So my last kind of like more meta question, I think, is in terms of tone, how serious do you guys want to go? I'll tell you this. I think like the minimum line of silliness, or like the maximum line, so the minimum line of seriousness would probably be about where we were at on Waterdeep. Just because I get a lot of silly in my day-to-day from DnDTime is a silly overload.
Yeah.
So I think if you guys are happy with that kind of tone, like the generally kind of goofy, not taking anything crazy serious, but not also joking around the whole time.
If you
That's
want to do,
I think the line.
I think if you want to do like a serious tone, I'm totally down with that.
I wouldn't say I have a strong feeling one way or another on this. Like I said, I don't want to do super goofy.
Grimdark.
I'd be interested in a serious tone.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
would you be
I
interested in
generally
doing a darker?
build goofy characters, so this would kind of force me out of that.
I don't know how to be serious.
I actually don't know how to be serious. I don't think I've ever
You
built
can
a
have
serious character,
non-serious
guys.
characters in a grimdark setting or a serious
Yeah.
setting.
That's
I'm
true.
with Crowley.
Yeah, I think not only can you have them, I think you kind of want to have them
You kind of need them.
as a comic relief from some of like the darker themes that you're working with. And
Sure, yeah.
there's no game that I think I'm capable of running that wouldn't have moments of levity and stuff in it. That's just I don't think I could run a completely just somber, head down the whole time kind of completely dark campaign. That's I don't think in me as a human. But if you guys are interested in exploring some like darker or grimmer vibes, I would definitely be down to try something like that out. I don't think I've ever done it before.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So I think that's our first kind of like perhaps departure from the standard, which I'm excited about in that regard. And before we go into starting to like talk a little bit about the world that we're going to build, and I have a couple of just like baseline, qualification questions for that to get us on this right track. Is there anything else that you guys can think of that you'd like to talk about from a more meta perspective? Normally, I think in most games, I would talk like since we're talking now about like a darker tone. If this wasn't U4, I would talk about like limits and like what people are comfortable with. But do you guys are we kind of on the same page for we've played together long enough to kind of know what all that is?
Yeah.
Don't break the Twitch terms of service.
Yeah, there it
Yeah.
is.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
No more racism, guys.
I would not have anyway. So
party alignment, possibly. Do we want to make this like an evil campaign?
that is a thing. I'd like to wait until we get a little bit more on the world on party
Okay.
alignment.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I think that's one that I'm really excited to see where you're going because I know that you guys were a little bit chatting up an evil campaign earlier, and that would be potentially a fun.
I want to do an evil campaign.
I mean, we'll see. We'll see where things take us.
Yeah.
Anyone else have any more like meta gamey kind of thoughts on stuff you want to talk about?
I mean,
I guess. Hang on. This kind of bleeds into world building a little bit. Jeremy brought it up before, but like magic in the world. How do we feel about?
Yeah, we're gonna do magic in a minute. Actually, that's the first thing we'll do after we go
Yeah,
through
because
this.
like I said, it's a good transition.
We're not talking about like character or class things that we're interested in.
No, we're talking about overworld things like that one thing
No.
where I couldn't read. Jeremy's one thing that I clearly missed when we discussed the world was that metal was scarce and I was a smith.
But on the subject of character and classes, if you guys at any point start to have like ideas and desires, like speak those out, because that way, like if you're thinking, oh, we're doing a Grim campaign, I've been wanting to play a Grim monk for a very long time, and so start just like being like, I'm gonna be monk, so other people.
If we want to go in that grim tone, I would really like to play an assassin character.
Ooh.
Like maybe not the assassin archetype, maybe the assassin type, but like
a character that kills people professionally.
Yeah, not like a mercenary, but like a real assassin.
Like a classy assassin.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know,
John
That
Wick.
also could be a really, really cool like plot arc.
Yeah, that could be fun.
That is actually on my. I have a whole.
very specific person.
I
there's
have
actually-
a whole chunk of plot arcs here to like for you guys to look at, and actually that was one of the ones on my list. So.
Oh.
What were you saying, James?
I had been thinking of a. There was an NPC in one of my games that I'm running that I absolutely love just doing the voice for. Spec Speechly.
Spack Speechley here.
Spec Speechly, #1 reporter for the 10th District Dossier.
Journalism was also a plot arc that I have on my list.
Yes. Spider-Man.
All right, I'm playing Spec Speechly here. That's gonna be it. I've already got done.
You're doing that hard.
Keep going.
Yeah, well, hold on saying done until we know
See you
exactly
later.
what the world is.
Good session, guys.
Good size zero, guys. Good job. We're
Thank
done
everyone
here.
for
Do whatever
stopping
you
by.
want without me. I've got my thing down.
Oh man, I'll bring back Gene Parmesan.
Oh Jesus! Don't.
I'm not bringing back Gene Parmesan.
Let's start talking world. These are 4 statements. These are 4 statements that I'm going to make about the world, and that I think will be non-controversial. And if anyone wants to disagree with me or like talk about them more, we'll do that. But
before you start,
please.
Pete, Kyle,
Yes.
this is not Pete telling you what to do. This is Pete making a suggestion.
I'm
You
not
don't-
bringing him back.
You
I'm
don't,
not bringing him back.
you don't have to disagree with the things Pete's about to say.
Okay, number 1,
All right,
Kyle.
let's do it.
I don't think you'll disagree with this. Number 1, there is magic in the world. All right.
Agreed.
2.
I
2.
was waiting.
There are gods.
Ooh, I think I disagree.
Well, it's actually canon because Jeremy's character hates a specific
Oh yeah,
god.
you're right. You're right.
So even if they're not
What
real,
if there's one god?
I don't like where you're headed. So that's the end of the
Get out of here. Get out of here. It's done.
And Jeremy just hates the one god.
I mean,
that
maybe
would work.
it could work. I think you could actually
Believes
do
in science.
a cool one god world. I rarely
Alright, we're
see
done here.
D&D worlds with one god. The world has areas that are civilized and areas that are uncivilized.
Okay.
All right.
There is some infrastructure in place, either in the past or currently, that has allowed for magic items to exist within the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do
sure.
any of you want to contest any of those ideas?
What if there were no magic item?
Then you guys would have a hard time getting magic items. But if that's something that you're
No.
interested in playing,
No.
then
I guess I'm the only one. All right.
I would have gone down that path. I was into it. It's just
I was
people-
into it too, Pete, but I've been overruled.
all of these things were things that I thought of as these are what you need to play all of the classes and have all of them be options.
Correct.
Oh, yeah.
So
Nice.
in that regard, I think with those ideas assumed, except for the magic items ones, which is I just mean it's very rare, as you all just saw, that people will want to not be able to get magic items. 1 in 4, I would say, is about the number.
Wow. What odds?
And what odds?
Yeah.
And so yeah, like if we don't have gods, then it's going to be tough to run clerics. If we don't have magic, then it's going to be tough to run a lot of stuff. And you need wilderness for things like rangers and stuff to interact with that. Yeah, I mean the fighter rogue barbarian monk campaign, you could do it. It'd probably be cool.
That'd be pretty fun.
But It would just be a
being
very
guys.
specific one. But we have those absolutes down, so let's start talking. What is our world's alignment? We can answer neutral, so I'm going to do a law and chaos scale and then a good and evil scale. So I'm going to start with law and chaos. And when I say what is the alignment of the world as a whole, this is not absolute and anything where you're deciding alignment of something so grand in scale. There are going to be pockets where this is true, where certain things are true and certain things are not true. And again, when I say an alignment of a world, so we're talking law versus chaos to begin with. A more lawful world would be, I think, a great example of a lawful world in fiction is Westeros. It is a world where there are characters that are good, there are characters that are evil, but generally speaking, everyone kind of obeys the rules of law or tries to, in many cases, manipulate them to their own gain and kind of, scheme. But the law is accepted and generally adhered to by the people. A chaotic world would be the kind of setting for most like points of light D&D campaigns, which if you're not familiar with the term points of light settings, those are settings where there are small pockets of civilization in an untamed and just vast expansive area, and you're trying to beat back the chaos of the natural world. And I don't know if you guys, I was trying to think about a good example of a chaotic world from fiction, but none really struck out to me as
Mad
super
Max.
iconic. Mad Max is actually a great example. Yeah.
That's
Stormlight,
perfect.
I would
That's pure
say.
chaos.
Oh yeah, Stormlight actually. Well, I don't know about
Well,
that, Crowley.
Parts of it.
Parts of
Parts.
it. Yeah.
I mean,
But-
well, no, there's a giant hurricane that goes around the world every day, every few days.
On it,
And
but it's
Well,
Bound-
we're getting
okay.
distracted.
We're not.
And-
I'm not getting into
they
this
can
right
also
now.
be the answer could also be you decide you don't really want to favor one direction or the other. Also, especially if you guys really want to go heavy in one of the other directions, which would be good versus evil when we talk about that in a moment. So is there something that interests you more on that kind of sliding scale, or would you rather just have that be nebulous? It's fine to just say, I don't care.
I think I would actually like it to lean more towards the lawful side.
Yeah, I think I'm with Kyle. I would like a more civilized setting.
Yeah, kind of almost.
Maybe
Almost-
there's some wild area, but it's kind of more on the
Yeah.
frontiers, I guess.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
favor
When
of
there's not a written law, people that would follow like a sort of hierarchy, right? Like even the wild
Yeah.
clans, the uncivilized barbarians have their own structures of power, right? Like the Dothraki in
Agreed.
Game of Thrones, right?
and I really
they
like
have
that
their-
point.
They have their whole rituals of who gets to be the leader, and it's not that they are an organized horde, right? It's not just a whole bunch of people deciding to kill each other. It's not like 40K's orcs, which are the most chaotic. But he's a strong guy. I follow strong guys. Sort of
Yeah,
deal.
that's- yeah.
I like that point because I think it's also very possible. Because another question I have later on the list here is: do we want the world to be heavily civilized or more wild? And I don't think that. I think you could run a world that's mostly wilds but also lawful in a way, which I think would be an interesting direction if we want to go there.
I
So I don't
was
want to
digging- I was digging something like that. I think.
But we also don't want to so I don't want to pigeonhole us into cities and big civilization until we get to that. But I like the idea of just assuming that most people trend onto they
There is
follow
an
some kind
order.
of code. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes,
Um,
there's an order to the world, but it might change from area to area.
All right, I think we're on the same page there. So then I'll ask the same question with regards to a good versus an evil world. There's a couple of examples I was thinking. I think of Middle Earth as a good world, where the primary things that you encounter in it, there's the Shire, there are the kingdoms of men, and they kind of generally believe in a moral good and are fighting back an encroaching darkness. As opposed to an evil world, I think of as the galaxy from Star Wars, where from the real Star Wars from 4 to 6, where
Oh,
Whoa.
yeah, okay.
No, you know what? There's no O there.
I agree
That's
with
true.
why would
It's
you
true.
say something
It's
so
true.
controversial yet
For-
so true?
For 6 of the best Star Wars movies, at me about it on Twitter, at Dangerous Bacon.
where the galaxy is in the grip of the Empire, and there's kind of danger and pressure around every corner, and what would be the party in that, Luke and Leia and Han, are good characters that are fighting against the overarching and surrounding evil on like that rebellion scale. Another really good evil world is the world of Mistborn. I think it's a super evil world, but not as many people would probably know that reference.
I think other good examples of evil worlds, when I think about it, is something maybe like Borderlands, or
I haven't played Borderlands personally.
Borderlands, I just feel like that's chaotic, right? Like,
I
chaotic.
think it's
Take
also
the chaos slider and put it all the way over.
because in reality,
and
like,
you get
they're
Limbo.
in theory are good people in the world of Borderlands, but the overarching plot is kind of you trying to take down. It's kind of almost like Star Wars,
Yeah,
just in a
Hyperion.
more modern idea.
Hyperion and Jan's of
Yeah,
Jack like the
Hyperion
Empire.
is super evil.
So
They
yeah,
even have a
that's
giant H like the Death Star.
Yeah.
another. That's another good example. But what do you guys think? Like, what kind of world do you want to play in? Do you want to be in a world that's more good, and you guys are presumably, if you are playing a good aligned party, we'll see what it is, fighting back against that tide, or vice versa?
See,
It's a weird question. It's like, sorry, you had something, James?
no, go ahead, Jeremy.
I was gonna say this. For me, it kind of depends on what we're doing. If let's say we go with like, if we were like, oh, we're sailors on the ocean, right? And we're gonna be pirates, and we decide that's what the story is. Like, pirates in a world that is evil is such a different game than pirates in a world that is good.
Yeah,
You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? And like opting, yeah, and the same, like, or if, I mentioned the assassination thing earlier. If we go that route, like, I don't know,
But personally,
it's weird.
I think that both of those stories. So let's use assassination as an example. If you guys end up going that direction and people are into that, then I think both of those stories are really cool. I think one where the world is generally a good world and you guys are like the seedy underbelly of it, like working in kind of in the shadows. I think that's an awesome tale. I also love the one where you guys match the tone of your world and you are like, you are why the world is evil and you're kind of part of it and like contributing to the cause. I think both of those are really cool, personally.
Mm-hmm.
So in this sense, I mean, we can again always shift things if we like it later, but which one just like calls to you? Which one just is speaking out to you more, and then we can shift it later if future things change your mind?
I think good, like
Okay.
like slightly more good is a little bit better because it kind of gives us a little more free reign to do stuff.
I'll also
Well,
say
I think
this.
the other one gives us more free reign.
Yeah.
I'll
Really?
say this also. Neutral is an option. You guys can say like, I have no strong feelings one way or the other.
Neutral is probably the best idea, honestly.
I would go for a slight evil bet.
Just a little bit of a dark
Yeah.
tint, especially if we're gonna go with
It's
that.
like, the kings
Like
are
a fudge
slightly
swirl of
tyrannical.
evil.
Like the kings are slightly tyrannical, but they're not like,
They're not the god
public
ruler.
executions all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not slavers, but like they'll
But
kill their rival, the nobles.
They levy some heavy taxes.
Yeah.
That sort of
So we're
thing.
talking
Okay.
like medieval England. Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Like reality, lawful evil. Yeah.
like modern England.
Oh, what?
Ooh.
Next question. Civil. You want to have there to be civilizations?
Sorry.
Or civilizations versus wilds was actually my next question.
Healthy balance.
I'm strongly feeling wild, but I'm strongly feeling civilization over wilds.
That's fine by me. What other people? We got one for kind of in the middle ground. Jeremy's feeling a more civilized world.
So I'm thinking something that's like maybe there's a main hub of civilization with a whole bunch of different like, oh well, maybe
We're
not
doing
mega
Mega
city,
We're
right?
not doing big city.
But
But cities.
but like yeah, there's like one specific, like, I don't know, country that is beset
Okay.
on all sides by tribalism. All right,
Well,
but
this
these
is
tribes aren't exactly I don't know, just spitballing here. Like,
okay. No, I'm liking where you're going. This actually, I think, ties in very well with my next question then, which is, do we want to do kingdoms or city states? Do we want to have like one big civilization that's kind of all encompassing, or like a lot of smaller factions that are more, competing amongst each other and, kind of politics in that regard?
Well,
For
real
RP,
quick though,
oh, go ahead.
Jeremy, you were more on the civilized.
Yeah, I was strongly
So
on the
you want like
side.
civilized pockets of wild with pockets of wilds.
I mean,
almost?
I'm just thinking, right? We have 6 to 7 sessions.
Yeah.
Given how little we accomplished just recently in 16 sessions in Dragon Heist, and I'm sure there might be a little more. Maybe there'll be a little more focus here, but in terms of what I want to engage with, I'd rather engage more with the civilized stuff, even if there is wild stuff in the setting as a
Yeah.
kind of contextual thing. I'd rather engage more with the civilized stuff.
Yeah, I could get behind that. Yeah.
Which is, I think, a great angle to come at that from, because that's what I want you to pick as the stuff that, like, we have a short time frame. Pick the stuff you want to do.
I agree with that as well.
That being said, I think for RP reasons, having it be one kingdom versus city-states is a lot easier, simply for travel and other stuff like that.
See, I'm okay with city-states, actually. I like city-states a lot. But I also like the one kingdom thing, so I can go either way. Pretty ambivalent.
Yeah, well, I think in terms of like logistics and like moving around, odds are, and this is a question that I was going to ask later, but maybe now is the time to ask it. Which one of these types of stories appeal to you more? One where you guys have a destination and you're going to do something, or one where you guys are in a location and things are happening and you're kind of interacting with one primary space? Because those are, in this short of a form, I think we have time to do one of those things well. Maybe there's some slight variance in there, but I think it's probably either you guys are going on some type of quest to do a thing, or you guys are in a space doing a thing. Which one of those appeals to you guys more?
What do you mean
we kind of just
precisely?
So I think he's getting it. So we basically just completed a campaign where it was we are in a city and things are happening around us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you interested more in the bottle or more in like the path? Is I think another way of putting it. Do you want to travel and move around a lot, or do you want to like really get into a space?
I think I
I'm
want to
more
travel.
What do you want to do, Jeremy?
I'm kind of the opposite of Kyle there. I'm more interested in the space, but I understand why you guys might be more interested in the travel.
Okay, well, it depends on what we end up doing.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
right?
Because
Depends on what
if we run with
place.
Jeremy's idea of being an assassin, which actually that kind of sparked my interest in playing as Shadow
Yeah,
Monk.
I
because
think
Shadow
we
Monk's super
need to
cool.
come up with a premise before we can answer a lot of.
Yeah, well, that question, like I said, was for after, but it seemed like we were kind of heading that direction. So I think that would have some
Yeah, I think-
bearings on like kingdoms
I
and
think we have to hold
city-states.
that one off. Yeah.
So I think it sounds like Jeremy, you're aiming for this assassination thing.
Well, and that's
There's some-
I don't feel like I know enough like about what we want to accomplish to answer some of these things, because I'm fine with either. I'm down with
Right.
journey. I'm down with exploring an area, but I need
Journey
to know
before
what we're gonna
destination.
do before I can say which one I'm interested in more.
Before death.
I feel like we need that premise. I have a hard time like saying, because I keep alluding back to it and pointing in that direction because
And I've been pointing with you.
that's what I want to do without broader context.
I think I would be interested in the assassination type thing.
Yeah, like when Jeremy said that, I got really interested in looking at stuff because I saw Shadow Sorcerer and I was like, Shadow Sorcerer isn't like the same idea, but Shadow Monk absolutely could go down that route.
It could for sure.
All right. See,
And if we did
so-
that, I think it would require a bomb.
In that
Like-
case, I think I've.
Yeah.
Oh, James, go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. So here's just something that I'm just gonna throw out idea here, and you guys poke as many holes as you want in it. So I'm envisioning this sort of thing where there is one aspiring empire, right, amongst a bunch of city-states. Let's call it the Inevitable Empire for now. And our group is a team of assassins sent to take out various leaders of other factions.
Oh,
I
we're
mean,
going
that
full
sounds
Assassin's
pretty cool.
Creed on
I
this.
No,
think
wait,
that
do we work for the Inevitable Empire or do we work for the
I'd
other
say-
guys?
I'd say we work for the Inevitable Empire.
Oh,
Uh,
Jesus.
Or
it seems like we're almost definitely leaning towards this assassin-y kind of game. So let me ask you one more question, and then we're going to get into deciding what our archetype is going to be.
Okay, because that's the only thing we've mentioned so far, which is why I think everyone's
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah, so I think
Well, maybe,
I have,
but,
like I said, a big
Well, no,
chunk.
it's also something I've wanted to do for a while.
I think it could be very cool as well.
Yeah,
but
like I kind of started going that direction with Elo, but it never just kind of came out because that's not what the campaign was for.
Yeah.
but
like,
let me
be
slide one
super
more
fun.
question at you real quick. You guys like high or low magic more, or just in the middle?
I think average amounts of magic is fine. Because
I'd
high
say-
magic gets really weird, and then low magic makes things also super weird.
I mean,
I think you can do either in an interesting way.
well,
I
I'd
mean,
say
yeah.
low magic makes it. Why am I playing a fantasy game with low magic? Right? I want to play a fantasy
Yeah.
game with
I
more
want to play a
There's-
fantasy game to be ridiculous.
But
There are
I
certain
don't.
classes it gets really weird with past level 5 if you're going low magic.
Yeah, like any dedicated spellcasting class, it gets a little funky.
I think, well, the issue I don't think is in the characters, because the characters are exceptions in the world, right?
Yeah.
The issue is, like, what do people in the world expect?
Oh,
In
sure.
a high magic world, it's like, oh yeah, anyone could just be anyone with an altered self. So they probably have protocols to deal with that in more.
Sure.
So I think
Oh,
I think
okay,
that
okay,
that's
okay.
like where we're thinking about, right, Pete?
Yes. Well said.
Yeah.
Okay,
in
so
middle
it's
magic, they
more-
might
it's
have
more
lists of
of-
warding and things, but not like
Yeah.
extents. Yeah.
It's more of like the development of magic to be used at a common level versus it's kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to go to the shop and buy myself a hat of disguise.
Which you might be
Yeah.
able to do in a high magic setting, but you definitely won't be able to do in a low magic setting.
Are commoners familiar with magic? They know about magic, or are they terrified of magic?
I feel like a setting where the common folk know that magic exists, but it's not accessible to everybody is a good place to be.
So that's the kind of middle ground. That's
I would
standard.
almost put it between
You know, my
low and
cousin
middle.
went to school to be
Yeah,
a wizard.
yeah,
I haven't
yeah,
heard
like-
from him since.
Like pseudo low magic.
lean low.
Or-
Lean
Yeah,
low,
I like
where
that.
like
Yeah.
Low interests
Yeah,
me
lean low.
more as well. That
Like-
seems like a more fun thing to play around with.
Yeah.
Magic
Well-
is spoken of in hushed whispers, as though is it?
I
a
think
thing?
everyone knows magic is a thing. Like
Even
everyone's
the
like, yes,
commoners, though.
they
Like-
know it's a thing, but they're terrified of it still. Like in a
well,
village,
they've
a village
heard-
you wouldn't see it.
And I don't
I don't-
think
I
Like
they
a
know,
city,
like,
you might.
they don't
Well, I don't-
understand it in any capacity.
Yeah.
They don't think
Mhm.
to themselves like, "Oh, he's going to cast a fireball at us." They think he's going to use the witch's secrets. Like,
Yeah. Type
He
deal.
turned me into a newt.
yeah, exactly.
I got better.
Better.
Oh my god, he just got polymorphed.
Oh my god.
The
Um,
the
hour.
polymorph ended.
just wait an hour and or break his concentration with a funny joke. The next thing is going to be our themes, and I have a huge chunk of themes, and I'm going to give this note to all of you guys now.
Is this in the?
Yeah, it's in
Oh,
Roll20.
Oh no.
All players will have this now. So here's a nice chunk of themes. I just picked 100
Mysterious
words
notes.
that I thought could spark an idea for a campaign in some
Pete,
way.
Can you hit show to everyone?
Yes, I
so that it
absolutely
shows
can. Or
up?
show to players.
Yes, that it shows up for the chat.
Try it at home. So here's a big old chunk of words that I thought might spark an
wanna
idea
click
for a
on it
campaign.
To
So
make it bigger.
I can maybe for the moment while I read through this huge chunk of words for people watching and listening, you guys also just go through. And what I wanted to do is I was hoping each of you would pick out 3 of these that kind of call out to you, and we could make a little list of ones that you guys think have some merit, and then we can pare it down and see what actually works. And I think inevitably, I'm going to say Assassins is a freebie. So you guys don't have to pick
Yeah,
Assassins
Okay.
because I think we're already there.
Yeah, I win. Sorry, guys.
So,
no assassins, right, guys? We're
Yeah, hard off
kicking
assassins.
that off
Hard
now.
off assassins.
and I
Hard
think
pivot-
that,
hard pivot into your
by
own.
Crowley?
and I think that the assassins idea, what I was hoping is that maybe we could find inspiration in a few of these things, and not just have one of them define our world, but like pick a few. And in terms of like how explicit they are, there are some that I think are extremely explicit. Like, for example, pirates. That's a campaign in which the players are probably pirates or they're fighting pirates. But there's some other like more kind of stranger ones. For example, I think hunt could mean a lot of different things. I think
I have my 3 picked out.
I think that faith has a lot of different things it could be. I think there's one that's just water. I think there's a lot you could do with water as an idea. So take some time looking through it, and when I finish reading, I'll ask all of you guys to just toss them up in the Roll20 chat, all of your ones, so we can kind of look at all what we picked here. But we have action, apocalypse, archaeology, art, artifice, assassins, books, caravan, celebrity, clans, color, craft, crime, cults, darkness, day, death, desert, devils and demons, doom, dragons, dungeons, dwarves, economics, education, elves, espionage, evil, exploration, faith, famine, farming, festival, fae, fire, flight, food and drink, forest, frontier. I liked food and drink. Frontier, games, gladiators, gnomes, gritty, guilds, halflings, horror, hunt, illusion, invaders, island, journalism, laughter, liars, life, love, lycanthropy, and life, love, and lycanthropy does sound like a D&D book.
I need that like in my bathroom.
Yeah, just on a thing.
Life,
Oh my
love,
God.
lycanthropy.
Magic, military, monsters, mountains, mundane was one that appealed to me personally. I like mundane games. Murky, music, mystery, night, nobility, peasants, piracy, planar travel, politics, prison, religion, revenge, ruins, rural, schools of magic, seafaring, shadow, snow, sound, speed, sport, stars, stones, storms, thieves, time, treasure, tribal, truth, tundra, undead, urban, vehicles, villain, war, water, weapons, wind, and youth. These are our 100 words that the players have picked to go, have chosen to pick from, or I provided for them to pick from. I would like if you guys all simultaneously could throw...
Classic Kyle.
I would like it if now all of you guys could simultaneously throw up your words in 3,
Oh,
2...
Let me type it.
do you want me to do it again? Do you want me to do it again?
No, you're good.
All right.
In...
I will tell you when I'm ready.
Yeah, I'll tell you when I'm ready.
I'm ready.
I'm also ready.
I'm working on
Yeah,
a third.
really, Kyle? Really now?
Nah, I'm joshing with you.
Kyle.
I'm glad Kyle did his already. 'Cause
Alright,
now I
I'm
don't have
ready.
to pick one of them.
Fuck. Well, no, if you, no. I think that's kind of the point, though. Like, if you were going to pick any of the ones that I did pick, like, still
You
pick.
should.
Yeah,
Alright, I'm picking
you
it.
should still
Yeah,
pick it
alright,
because
alright.
that was the idea, was doing it at the same time. Like,
Yeah.
if there's two people
Yeah,
that
I-
like this, then...
Yeah, I'm sorry I fucked everything up. All right.
So, 3, 2, 1, and go. All right. All right, so we have the words that we were interested in were gritty, sound, wind, from Kyle. James picked economics, clans, and journalism. Crowley picked celebrity, politics, and gritty. And Jeremy picked food and drink, nobility, and politics. So for starters, the ones that are really kind of all slapping at me from the beginning are nobility, politics, and economics. As like even celebrity, I think, and journalism fall into this category, where it seems like we want to be dealing with the upper crust, the
Mhm.
Sure,
and that also speaks to me heavily of Civilization. We were talking before, Civilization versus Wilds. All of those things scream.
But we also want it to be gritty.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
yes.
I think gritty plays into that really well. as
So,
well.
so I really liked how there was clans on the list versus tribal, right? Because I'm thinking of, instead of like, tribes of people, instead of like there's like these savages out in the waste. It's really just like, yeah, there's like the Empire with their sophistication and their landed elites, but then there's like clans of people who have been, making their own way through their own systems. So essentially comparing, Western civilization to feudal era Japan, right? Before, I
think I know what you're
wars
saying.
and all that, right?
So how would you guys be interested in, since I think we're building a civilization here, I like the idea of kind of like, I think a lot of dwarven cities are subscribed, but maybe this isn't just a dwarven city, and we can talk about how cosmopolitan and diverse we'll end up making it. But I like the idea that it's a city in which there are just very specific groups all kind of like on a council, and each kind of representative of the council represents like, this is a clan which is, a chunk of this civilization. This person represents the blank part of the civilization, and so on, kind of moving around. And, that would be the political high ground, would be, a group of individuals of different factions.
Sure.
I mean,
Does that idea kind of appeal? Is that kind of like where you're going, James? Or are you thinking more like...
Yeah, so like,
within more rugged and more outside,
right? Like delegations from each city-state. So, like, this is not a open war. It's not the Empire is at war with all factions around it. It's sort of this idea of pulling the strings, classic Bay of Pigs stuff, right?
So are we interested in like maintaining one higher ruler, and then there are people that are kind of... So there was earlier the idea of like, you guys are working, if we're going the assassins route, I'll just put assassins in. You guys are... I spelled assassins wrong.
You need two asses.
Assassins.
Has two asses.
All right, so which of us are going to be the asses? Kyle, you're a shoo-in.
Oh,
An
guaranteed. Guaranteed.
assassins.
I volunteer as tribute.
So I do like the idea that, you guys are working for maybe the highest power or one of the powers that are at play in the world, and trying to like bring the other groups to heel.
Yeah, I mean, is that the direction we want to go, or do we want to be sent by the other groups to keep this power, that one power, from getting like any stronger, right? Because I think you can take it in either way.
Yeah, both of those are...
I'd rather be from the one power.
Yeah, I'd rather be from the one
Okay,
power.
okay,
Then
we're gonna kill a lot of kings.
because then we become like the Navy SEALs of
Right.
This place, and that sounds fucking dope.
And I already like...
Spetsnaz.
I already have like such a strong idea for how this campaign would start in my mind too, that I can't talk about obviously, but I think that's a cool direction, and if you guys are kind of feeling it, I think
being the hit squad, I'm in.
Yeah, being Hitman. Now, that's another thing. Is that something that all of you want to do? Do you want to be a team of assassins, or are you guys like a team of political insurgents and you have different skills, and those things are...
Ooh.
Like, some of you want to be assassins, I think, but I don't know if like, because I know, James, you were interested in like the journalism angle and that kind of stuff. Is that...
Yeah.
Like, are you in on just like being an assassin?
Well,
And
But the thing is that Spec Speechly, #1 reporter for the inevitable
Empire.
Daily.
Gazette.
The inevitable Empire Daily. All right.
Yeah, the IED. Best newspaper around. No, essentially, like, yeah, he can be a reporter as his day job, but he's a College of Whisper Bards, right? Like, he's all about figuring out the secrets. He's trying to... He's playing not exactly a purely political game, but at the same time
he's got some chess pieces going.
You've been like infiltrating.
Yeah, I'm the infiltrator, right? Like I get in, I'm like, oh yeah, no, you need to talk to this guard. He has
Guys, we're the evil A team.
Like, yes. And so, like, I can totally make Spec Speechly work within a team of assassins for sure.
Okay.
In fact, I think I originally made him as a Demir agent in my Ravnica game. So yes, Spec Speechly was always an assassin.
So I like that we're already starting to like get some ideas on characters too.
I'm so in on this.
So there's a couple of other things that I want to touch on that were in this list. We haven't talked at all about food and drink and how that would factor in any way, or maybe
Poison.
that was my immediate thought too. But
Yeah,
I don't know if like.
Galas.
But I feel like that's just like a meth. That's like a character aspect more as it's something that's a part of the world. And I'd be interested if like we want to make food and drink important in the world in some way.
Feasts.
Yeah, I think great and grandiose feasts and celebrations would be a really cool way to
Are
make that
a regular thing in the upper crust.
And I think that's cool because I'm picturing like throwing feasts is like a kind of a way of almost
asserting
being
dominance.
being like I don't fear you. I know that like because they have to know that you guys are a lingering shadow and that the Empire uses any methods to keep things in line. Is that fair to say, or is this like, or do you guys want to play like the onset, the uprising? I like the idea that like you are feared as individuals, even though they don't know who you are, but just
once
the hand.
people start dying,
And I like the idea of like lords throwing big feasts to be like, we're not going to be intimidated by you,
and
then end up dead.
It also gives us like, oh sorry, go ahead, James.
Oh no, I just like the idea of there always being like an empty table at each of these feasts for the Emperor's hit
that's
squad.
really cool.
Like it's just the
We've left the table for you.
Yeah, we've left a
table.
seat for you.
Right.
That's really good.
Hospitality is a good one to add to that list for the future.
Yeah.
By the way.
Mm-hmm.
And just as a cool like touch and like a flavor of it, I feel like you guys are thought of as one being. They leave one chair for whatever like terrible name that people have come up with for who you are, because they don't realize that you're a group, and they just like there's this like mythos of this one monster that is like the hand of the Empire. How do you guys feel about that?
I mean, that sounds great.
Yes.
Mhm.
That sounds fucking primo.
Dope.
Well, yeah, because that kind of plays into like what I was going for, like sound and it's like the thoughts of us is like we're known, but at the same time, it's just whispers. Like nobody knows anything about us except for those who are like directly in contact with us.
And I make sure nobody knows much.
I want to come back to yours in particular, Kyle, because your sound and wind picks really got me excited. Not like about because I think we kind of have a really solid foundation now for like what you guys are going to be doing and what the kind of game is, but I don't think we have anything all that unique about the places that we're doing. And I feel like sound and wind are two things that could really describe like the setting and environment in some major way.
Kind of
Ooh.
way. Yeah.
What if sound is like a sound?
So that
Not
is
like
what
an
sound is.
audio thing, but like Puget sound.
I was like, Jeremy, this is a real big shit post. I was like, this is a big shit post, Jeremy. What are you doing?
And it could have we could have this cool like seaside coastal aspect to it. Might be neat.
I'm
as like a setting.
100% into that.
Okay.
And
But of course,
having
like the upper crust of like the seaside stuff. So they go out great things on private yachts. And
They have
things.
many yachts.
Oh my god, I hate that you said that.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's yachts.
I feel like in a lot of situations, I mean, Waterdeep's even an example of like a seaside city where I feel like seaside city. I feel like the docks are always kind of like the dregs. What if I feel like it would just be fun as a mix them up and cool like setting? What if the docks are like that's where the upper crust
the high end
like
is
the largest buildings are right adjacent to the ocean. I don't know why that would be, and I think we'd have to come up with a reason for it. But just the aesthetic of
the view. The view.
Yeah, it's the view.
I mean, it's the view. Just the aesthetic of the city, like scaling up in size to where it like meets the edge of the water, and it just like creates like a wall around the water with all the tallest buildings. That's really evocative to me.
I agree.
Yeah, I like it.
Also, there's a lot of noise, and that's where the sound comes.
Yeah, well, naturally.
Yeah.
What about What about the wind?
Ooh, actually, sound could also go with like parades and things. If this upper crust is so like confident about themselves, which we've kind of decided at this point, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they seem
Oh
confident.
yes, for sure.
That's all.
It's a windy city. It's on the
It's a
ocean.
windy city. And
Yeah, there's a lot of secrets going around. A lot of secrets.
so
We come
Are
with the
these-
wind.
so I feel like some of these clans, because we're talking about like they're going around and taking out would-be kings. Are they going around and like taking out like people that are? Is it all going to be kind of within this city, and it's them, you guys taking out individuals that have like representatives here? Like, how are these smaller factions divided up? Like these clans that we're trying to do, are they outside of the city and you travel to their territory, or are you taking out like ambassadors or people that are visiting within the city?
Well, I mean, are we killing kings or are we killing like upstart guilds?
I don't know. That's a great question too.
Maybe
I was
like,
I
there
was
are a
thinking of
couple
it as
things.
political. I was thinking of it as political rivals, and I'm sure you guys don't have one thing that you do, but
Because we also had economics in there. Maybe there's like
Yeah.
a list, right, that we have to hit while we're in this place.
so is this
That might be
maybe?
interesting.
So is this maybe the Empire is not? The Empire is not where you are. That's somewhere in the past, and this is you guys going into a new city to do whatever it is that you're going to do.
We talked about Star Wars earlier. What if it's like Coruscant, right? There's that one big neutral ground where everyone is, and we represent kind of the upstart faction that's growing and like taking up everything, right? That Empire faction, and we've got to kind of eliminate.
I like the
other
idea that the
people.
Empire is the top already. Like,
Yeah, I was kind of
Sure.
feeling that
Yeah.
like suppressing the lowers as kind of a
like preventing
vibe.
people from gaining power is my thought.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was the vibe
Okay.
that I was getting too.
What?
Yeah, like
but
someone's getting too big for their britches. Gotta knock them
but
down.
I mean, if this is just like the center for leadership, other leaders would be coming to here, and if like potentially.
Yeah, so that's what I say. Like, I want to throw out another idea because I don't know how you guys were feeling about this. I like the idea that this city that you're going to right now is not the inevitable empire or whatever we end up calling it. I don't know if that's honestly. It's wait, is that a reference to something?
No,
I think it's a reference to the Final Empire.
exact. Well,
Oh,
see,
okay.
you
In a lot
mentioned
of ways.
Mistborn earlier,
Yeah,
so
fair
now my
enough. That's what I was
brain's kinda
thinking.
stuck there. But at the same time, like,
Not Lord Ruler.
but
Um,
the inevitable empire, because it hasn't conquered everything yet, so it's not the final or ultimate empire, right? But it is inevitable.
Okay, I like the idea that the place that you're going in this cool dock city is the stronghold of a clan that's been acting up and starting to get too big for its
And we're
britches.
kind of
it's-
sent there to like, hey, play ball or else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I
that's
like
cool.
that.
And it's like also it kind of sets us up as like you guys don't know this city. You're coming to a new space and
Yeah.
like learning about it, which is a good way to play too.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I think that also like you guys basically coming in and theoretically trying to destabilize an entire like stronghold of the civilization is like probably a pretty good scope for the size of the campaign. And what, we'll have to figure out what it is that you're specifically doing. And a lot of those details, obviously, I'll just be coming up with over the course of the next week. But I think that's really cool. I want to mess with wind. I don't know what we got with wind, but I want to make wind important because that seems cool. Seaside District, my first instinct was Breath of the Wild style. A lot of people are going around on like gliders, and there's a lot of tall buildings where people are zipping back and forth.
I
As
was
just a
thinking like
style.
the architecture and that same kind of concept, right?
Oh.
There's lots of bells and big towers that are built to be like aerodynamic or whatever.
Chimes.
Yeah, chimes and
Huge,
things.
huge mills. Do you think like mills are a major factor?
I'd say like that's
Yeah,
that's-
maybe.
yeah. When you get to the outskirts of the town, where you get to like the farmlands, right? Like there's tons of mills grinding wheat to make bread, right? Like tons, like.
And
it's
so, like,
just,
what does
like-
this represent for the civilization as a whole? Is this like, what is this like an agricultural
Well-
district, or is wind like its export in no sense?
I think wind in this case, right, is maybe representative of like this higher form of culture almost. I feel like in our case, like we're definitely
I
at
get
this
it.
point, right? And
I get what
this
Jeremy's
is
getting at.
the more refined, more elegant, right? They're moving in this good direction. Their architecture
It's
is
kind of like
beautiful and
this
music
lofty
and-
idea, like they're trying to be better, like they're trying to rise up, like on
Yeah, exactly.
the
And
wings
we're trying
of
to
the
put
bird
them
or something
down.
like that.
And
Yeah.
we're the baddies.
They're
I like-
riding their wax wings on the wind a bit too close to the sun.
Oh, they in fact
you
are
go.
Icarus in this situation.
And we are the sun.
I can picture a lot of like wind. I think is just a powerful like metaphor too. I can picture, and this is something that will need to like be thought about, and because this is more complicated maybe. But I can picture a lot of the higher ups of the society having like wind being like what they think of themselves as in a sense, like
We are the wind.
we are the wind but cooler than that. And I'll think about how to make it cooler.
We are the
than
wind
Ah,
beneath our own wings.
that.
winds are short and ephemeral, but have the power to shape and change the world in dramatic and explosive ways. We wield that power.
Yeah, that
Kind
kind
of
of
yeah.
vibe.
That
Yeah.
mentality. Yeah.
They see themselves like a force of nature.
And
Yeah.
so that's one of maybe the describing like. And do you think in some senses, I imagine like the city on like some of the lower levels, because this is still, we decided, a slightly evil world, and it's probably, even though there's kind of like, as a city, this place is probably maybe better than the Empire. I still think of it as maybe like a little dark, and like the higher ups are still living a life, and like I picture the bottom streets, like the winds like have raked through, and like people that are walking down the streets are very like bundled up. There's a lot of specialized clothing because of like how intense the winds are in the area.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Chicago
The city's
in March.
designed and funnels the wind all down.
Yeah. There's probably like a confluence that you just can't walk through because that's like Wind Street. I don't know what's something cooler than that, obviously.
Yeah. No, you can't walk through
Ah,
here.
the Galeway.
The Galeway was.
And they use the Galeway for some special form of
Ah.
transportation. Of
You
like,
can't go
Oh.
east on this road and this
I
time of
was gonna
year.
say
Don't you know that the
punishments.
winds will just
Or
take you
punishment.
back to the start?
String them up in the Galeway.
So while we're decided that magic was fairly low, but I feel like their technology is actually fairly high. Like,
Yeah.
like
sounds
these
That sounds
people
about right.
are doing a lot with mechanics and wind, and maybe not like steam. I'm not thinking like steampunk. Wind.
No.
good. This is more Da Vinci.
Wind punk.
Yeah.
Da Vinci.
It's much
Yeah,
more
is a good
Da
way of putting it.
Vinci punk.
Yeah.
dude.
Da Vinci Punk, I'm in.
Leonardo, Kyle.
Let me go get my pedal helicopter.
All right, so that means we're all gonna play Turtles, right?
Yes.
And as one more thing, this was an idea that I started to play around with once in DnDTime, but it was just kind of as an aesthetic. But I feel like there's some cool stuff we could play with this. Aside from the fact that they're on a sound, playing with sound, when we're talking wind, I picture wind whistling through things. And I
Yeah.
feel like there's ways that this city would use that as like signals or to mean things throughout the city. There might be points where
Oh yeah.
there are, just specially crafted like tubes and holes that catch the wind in ways like where if the wind is going in this direction, you hear this tone and stuff like that.
Those are the alarms. It's not bells along the city. It's like it's almost like organ chimes, right? They just pull over the slat and the wind blows through, and,
Oh, that's so cool.
or whatever.
Yeah.
That's
No,
that's
I
really cool.
imagine that that's
Yeah.
how you can tell on every hour they open up this case with this, I don't know what sort of instrument or whatnot or what have you that catches the wind in a certain way, and it
It's an
tells
organ.
you. Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, so no, the winds today are 15 miles an hour north, and then there's also a slight breeze to the west, and you can just tell it by ear. People who have perfect pitch are instantly
Are liars.
better.
They cry.
They cry every time.
Every
I see.
time.
I'm with you, James. I think that is righteous. All right, I'm feeling this place a lot, and I also think that
Yeah.
we've gotten we've moved at a quicker pace and gotten something a lot cooler, a lot faster than I thought we'd be able to. not that. I wouldn't say that was pessimism.
Thanks,
it's just
Pete.
no.
At
I'm not
least
saying that
half
was
of us are
pessimism.
No, it just
professional.
kind of came together,
Yeah,
Yeah.
we just crushed it.
and I love it when a plan
I
comes
imagine
together.
the city's just super colorful too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
I-
absolutely.
Now, Pete, you sounded like you were moving in a direction, but I had another question about the city. If we're moving away from,
I was going to start moving us in a more character-focused direction. So absolutely.
Well, before
Yeah.
that, can we take a break?
Yeah, I want to do that too.
yeah, all right, let's.
All right,
let's
but
take a quick
Jeremy,
break.
but Jeremy, finish
Well, no,
your
no,
spiel.
no. And your
Let's get
question
on
first.
this.
Okay, yeah, we'll handle this and then we'll take a break. Okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
religion.
Mm.
Like I see this place,
Oh, yeah.
like I see like the wind and the sound as almost like things that maybe two faiths are centered around in the city.
Yeah, I could see that.
It's,
But I don't- I
it's
don't
a bird
see-
religion.
I don't see the religions as being super powerful necessarily, but I feel like them being like part of
They
everyday
could be an
life.
underlying faction that are also trying to vie for power, but haven't gotten the strength to yet.
I like the idea that the wind and sound gods are also like those are for the commoners.
Yeah.
Like that's like their respite from like kind of a poorer life is like maybe religion will carry me up and buffet me into the everlasting upon winds of sound.
Your souls will ride upon the winds for all.
Yeah, exactly that kind of thing. I'm very into that. I forgot to that was on my list because I have a bunch of questions I haven't gotten to yet. But religion was
The
one
wind
of my
is a wrathful but also kind god.
So when we come back, I would definitely be down to like maybe build out a couple of those religions a little bit more, honestly, and just like get maybe names of gods even, and like just a rough idea of like if you care about sound or if you care about wind. But before we do that, let's all take a brief hiatus. I would love to get a glass of water.
All right.
So we'll be back soon.
5 minutes. See you in a minute.
See you soon, guys.
Goodbye.
Hey, we're back. We were on a roll. I was really liking the direction that we were going as we stopped. We were just talking a little bit more about our main city that we're going to be building. If you guys have, by the way, if any of you come up with a cool name for the city before the end, please call it out. Otherwise, I'll just name it in the interim. But
Windsor.
Zephonia.
Get out.
I like the city of Wind and Sound more than anything else so far.
Yeah, honestly.
It's a good name.
Windsand.
the city of Wind and Sound does have kind of like
It's got a good one.
it has kind of like an eldritch kind of vibe to it almost.
Yeah.
Oh, sort of.
No,
How
I
about
like
this?
it.
I like it. One that I like.
All right. Instead of sound, what of like tone, right? The city of wind and tone, or
No.
wind. Because I don't like just sound, right? I want it to have a more musical connotation to it, right? I don't know. That's just me.
Is
The
there
city.
another word for wind that begins with an S?
I mean, Zephyr starts with a Z.
Yeah.
Nothing is coming. Well, this is just a
Of course, the city of Zephyr Bells. Perfect.
wind
That's
chord
what
was
I.
an idea.
That's
chat.
where I would end it if I were making this.
All right, we'll keep it in the back pocket. We'll keep thinking about it as we go. But I want to talk about these religions we were just starting to form.
Yeah.
The religion of wind. Jeremy, this was your idea that kind of put forth. Do you have any like first thoughts on like what this?
I mean, besides
like-
that, they have really massive cathedrals. No,
Do you think that?
probably it's a big, massive like cathedral organ deal.
Do you think that they
Sounds-
worship a god of winds, or do you think that they worship the wind as an idea and an entity?
I don't know. I kind of think that maybe it's more like that, right? It's like acknowledge that. Because yeah, what are gods, right? Are they like entities like Greek gods, or are they?
Yeah,
more
let's talk that a little bit.
concepts? I like
Are any
the-
of you leaning towards a holy character?
No.
Yes, but not
I
in
am
the
not.
normal way.
See, I was so like, yeah, would the winds be the manifestation of God on this plane, right? Like I think that no matter what sort of religion you have, they like you'd usually have a what's the word I'm looking
A
for?
name,
Anthropomorphized,
yeah,
uh,
a physical manifestation and avatar of.
So like there's the god of wind, right? And so like you could think of the god of wind as however you want, but how that god manifests itself in their work on our world is through the wind, right?
Hear me out, right? What if this ties into our nobility a little bit, and we kind of have those like divine providence leaders, sort of? And so in this part of the world, right, it's wind and sound, and maybe in another place it's I don't know, fire and ice.
Color. Fire
Yeah,
and color.
Sure, right, because they're, I don't know why they would do that, or why that would be the case, but something like that might be interesting. And the leaders kind of present these inarguable concepts. The wind is powerful, and they say that like, yes, and we are divinely chosen for this.
See, I liked the idea though of the church being an almost separate entity from like the higher of the
Yeah.
politics, where it was like
Mhm.
the church is a faction, where the tiers are maybe like in terms of like
Less
social
important.
classes, because I feel like we're all in the same thing where we're just kind of assuming social classes,
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
because
absolutely.
it just makes so much sense in what we're doing. I pictured, there's the bottom level, laborers and workers and commoners. Slightly above them would be the farmers who run mills outside of the city. Next up, obviously, there's going to be like your merchants, and then I pictured above them would be like clergymen, who kind of, I don't know if they like pray or if they like prey upon like the lower levels, or if they genuinely like believe and try and help the lower kind of
Well-
levels, and then above them would be like the Wingineers. I don't know what they are.
Like,
The engineers.
yeah, so I think there's going to be, in any religious system, true believers and those who would use the system to their own benefit, right? Like, whether or not you really believe in the tenets of this faith and that all who follow it will be freed from, their earthly shackles to rides on the winds for all time, with our Lord Windy.
Wendigo.
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 That's why we devour our anyway.
The Wendigo.
Ooh,
It's the
wee.
wind. It's the wind elemental Wendigo.
But actually, I like that.
The
right? 'Cause
Wind Ego. Oh, there it is.
like maybe that's the idea. Maybe with something more of like a spirit, like the spirit of the wind, rather than like it's the wind itself. But no, it's this spirit that brings the wind.
But what's
Yeah.
the name of the wind?
I don't know.
Ego. We
We'll
just
name it
came up
rough.
with.
What's behind the doors of stone?
Oh, sorry.
Triggered.
So I guess I like that direction. Okay, so do you guys like that as it's kind of like less it's less the manifestation, it's just the wind as an ideal that people worship. And the clergy's like, are pushing just the power of the spirit of the wind is what I mean by that. Like, are you guys feeling that kind of vibe?
I like the idea that there is a tangible spirit, but maybe it like doesn't exist often, right? Maybe it's like every 100 years, like 100-year storm, this thing can be seen.
You can see the
Right. In the storm.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
And
it's kind of mystical. It's a little more magic, but I think if we go
Right,
more
but it's
into
also a little bit
mysticism,
more believable. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little bit more believable as a.
Let me pitch you on it's the storm god.
Crowley, you've gone dark.
Yeah, I turned my camera down when Pete made that terrible joke. I'm back. Anyway, it's called the Great Big Cloud, and
Whoa.
Tell you a little something.
So
That's all, folks.
I guess my
Bye-bye.
core question is, what role does the clergy play in society? Does it exist for its own nature, and do the followers it truly believe in it, or is it trying to exploit the fact that it has some authority over here for the political gain of the higher ups within it? Like, which one of those directions? And I think there's a lot of middle ground between those.
So, yeah, I would go for like a middle ground in which. So I want to now like take like we're talking a lot about the wind and like this wind church here, but I want to try and like it has to be a contrast to the empire's main religion, which I have I have a strong feeling that it's something that is totally order based, right? It is all about hierarchy and law and the system, and everybody has to follow the rules.
Very
and you need
tyrannical.
to exactly.
Yeah.
Like
and I think that
super
that
strict.
one is a personified god. Like that's not
yeah.
the spirit of the wind. That is
No, there's a deity that you worship with it.
It's also a
That-
really good contrast of wind freedom versus
yeah.
Yeah.
That is like Erdon, the
yeah,
god of-
exactly. There's a
yeah.
name to it.
Yeah.
Ball.
Mhm.
Erdon,
Where-
the
yeah.
Earthbinder.
I mean, that's not a bad name, right? Like,
It's
Yeah, I
not
kind of
bad.
honestly like. I
Conquering
kind of
the-
honestly
I kinda like
like.
it.
I kind of like
it a lot,
Erdon.
actually.
I like that a lot.
Yeah,
Should we just slam that down?
Erdon is just
Slam
naming
it down.
and that's the last thing I think I want to build up in the world before we go into it. Is like I want to talk a little bit about more like what the inevitable empire is. But I'd say we haven't quite finished up because I want to get a little bit more in on this Wind Church faction.
Yeah.
We also had.
Okay. So, sorry, Pete.
Yeah, no, please.
I was saying, like, if we think about that faction, right? So we have this wind church, and I think the wind is for everyone, right? The wind
Yeah.
is free, the wind is free. But the sound is kind of like that hierarchy almost, right? Where it's like, this is beauty, right? It's what can you make with the sound? right? It's almost like the
The wind.
artistic side that the nobles kind of practice. So I almost see it as almost two factions within this church, where one is very, what is it, fulfilling for the peasantry, for the lower
Yes,
class,
and then
and maybe one is almost validation for the higher class. If they aren't like, if the church isn't directly tied into that, like, oh, well, I can validate doing bad things if I create beautiful things for it. And maybe that's why the city is so beautiful.
I think that that's really cool.
Yeah,
I also
no, I
like
like
the
idea that. Yeah. No, I was gonna say that. Yeah, I like Jeremy's idea of what can you do with the wind, right? Like, how will you make this manifestation of God's power into something beautiful and that people will want to see, and how the city is growing because they want to see our technology and our mills produce grain to feed people, and starvation is at an all-time low, and listen to these beautiful orchestral movements, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think that's I like that direction.
I imagine the
Yeah.
guy who created the glider, right? Who invented the glider is like a saint.
Or a
Equivalent.
celebrity.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Yeah.
filthy rich, probably.
I
Assuming
definitely,
poor as
I
hell.
definitely feel like there's also a cool vibe there where it feels to me almost like the
So-
nobility have kind of perverted the interpretation to be like, yes, we worship the wind as well.
Here's
Look at the
kind
ways
of
in
my
which we do so.
here's my
Yeah.
kind of take on it, right? Is it's kind of the idea of like monks who study Shaolin Kung Fu, right? Where there are some who believe it to be extremely spiritual endeavor, right? Like it connects everything in their body with the world around them. But there are those who, if you talk to them, are like, no, this was meant for protecting people and war and stuff like that. So it's kind of the same idea where it's like the wind at church is that spiritual connection to the world, right? But the sound is the more practical and like methodical interpretation of it.
I can understand what you're saying there, Kyle.
Yeah. I think I'm
I
connected.
I really
with that.
liked the like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I dig it. I dig it a lot. The wind is all about what can you do that will help people with it, and then the nobility's like, we're doing things that are helpful too. Look at this pretty stuff.
Yeah.
I'm okay. I'm feeling this, and I think I have a strong idea now. And I think that the next thing I want to talk about is the final empire, or whatever we call it. We'll come up with another name for your empire, because that's just from the other thing.
Copyright.
Yeah, copyright. I'm interested in one. I feel like there's some presence of the inevitable empire in this city.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, maybe like.
Oh, they're dissenters.
Oh no. Because
Well,
if the
I think
empire is
they're-
a state religion. It's
I thought the city was part of the empire already, and it's just a matter of
It's a part of the
keeping
empire.
down dissenters.
Yes, and that's why I feel like since it's part of the empire, and this city's kind of starting to rise up and kind of look like I imagine behind the scenes, and this will be kind of in the plot. There's talk amongst the upper, like, we've outgrown the empire. We have our own food supplies. We have our own economy. We are self-sufficient. We don't need to be a part of the empire. But they're all part of the empire, so there is an empire presence in the city, albeit maybe a smaller one, because that's why things have gotten out of hand.
What do you call the people who convert people to religion?
Evangelists.
Well,
No,
missionaries.
missionaries. I imagine there's like
Inquisitive.
missionaries that have been sent here, right? And
well-
they're like a separate faction trying to.
They wouldn't
convert
be
people.
missionaries if they were already part of the empire, Jeremy. They'd be inquisitors.
I don't know. They could. I mean, it depends, right? How like new is the empire? I imagine that the empire isn't that new if they're still quelling people that are like this advanced. I mean, no, I'm sorry. I imagine it is fairly new.
Yeah, it would have to be
Last
fairly
50
new.
years.
Yeah.
So,
After
like,
a campaign of shock and awe against these different city-states, right, in which a tenuous peace was established to stop the mindless slaughter, because the Empire also suffered heavy losses, but was willing to wage a war of attrition, right?
Yeah, this
Like,
was acquired
had-
like in an annex, right, or a peace agreement. Yeah, you'll be part of it,
Yeah.
but you get to keep your freedom. And this is the Empire's way of slowly taking that freedom away.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think this has
yeah.
been a gradual build-up where the Empire was probably founded with good intentions, and it's slowly emperors have started to been like it started out the ideal was I'll protect all of this, and now the idea is this is mine. Whoever the emperor is, which I don't know if we need to even detail that.
The Emperor
I think that's fun as
forever
vague. If it's,
eternal is Erdon, of course. It's just
Erdon
he
the
manifests
Eternal?
himself
Oh, no.
in a physical body every now and again in different forms,
you
and
want to
how
do God
that's
King?
established. God Emperor,
King.
God King.
I think if we're going to
I
have
mean-
such an important distinction of the nobility from the religion here, I like the idea of it being the opposite in the end.
Yeah, it just being an integral part of society in the Empire.
What's the symbol? What is the symbol of Erdon? Because I feel like you guys could have a very evocative piece of like imagery on somewhere on your person, all of you, if you're
Oh,
emissaries
I
of the
feel
Empire.
like
It's
feel like
a
it's
black
a very
spot.
Oh, I was
It's a
thinking
closed circle.
I was
it's-
thinking it to be like a very refined gem of some right?
My mind went to chains.
I was picturing like I was
A
picturing
shattered
like
something.
a pitch black hand was what I was picturing.
Yeah.
Like the opposite of the Saruman hand from
Yeah,
Lord of the
like-
Rings.
Okay, what if it's not so overt though, right? Is he that overt? Because remember we were going to like slightly evil.
I kind of like that vibe though. Like I like that aesthetic for maybe that's not the symbol of Erdon, but I almost like
That
that
might
kind
be
of thing
our
for
symbol.
you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
The black hand.
our symbol is a just flat black hand.
Mhm.
Um,
We are the black hand.
I mean, that
All
might
right,
just
we got
be the
a
name.
venture party, guys.
the hand of Erdon, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's
How
the
do we
hand of
spell
Erdon
Erdon?
that shapes the world.
I was going for more of an Erdon, like
Yeah, I thought we-
RDUN.
Erdon, whatever.
You
yeah,
are
I mean,
D-O-N.
you
yeah.
are
Erdon.
But now I'm
Yeah.
liking Erdon. I'm liking Erdon a lot.
No, I like Erdon.
No, I like Erdon
All right,
better.
fuck. I've been upvoted.
Erdon is fine by me.
And this,
Yes, but it's the black
name
hand
the
of Erdon
god
that
here
shapes the
in
world,
City of the Wind and
guys.
Sound is Erdon.
Oh jeez. All right.
Dear
Um,
Jordan.
So in that case, maybe also a symbol of
Its ruler's name is Michael.
James, you were getting at something I was kind of feeling, which was like a circle, like a circle or something for the symbol of like
Yeah,
the city
like-
or whatever.
I was thinking of something that was just, it's simple, it's unified, it's anyone could simply draw it. A child can scribble a circle in, right? Like it's just the black circle of Erdon. Is that just? I mean, it's
combine
not
what-
supposed to be darkness, but it
What if
kinda
it
has a-
Unifying color.
Con-
It's just
combined
it has
with
the
what
idea
Jeremy
of
was saying
inclusiveness.
earlier,
Mhm.
combined with what Jeremy was saying earlier, because he said something like something shattered you were picturing. I imagine a circle that's like segmented with breaks and spots to represent like the parts coming together to make the whole of the clans that have been drafted into the Empire that are now one as a result.
we throw chains
Ooh,
around the
I
whole
like
thing. Bam.
No.
We're
Now
all
that's
here.
some imagery.
I'm
you
not,
see,
but
you're saying the black circle, and then what I first thought is we went for like a god king, like a god emperor for them. What if the thing that makes that person different is their eyes are just jet black?
All right, well,
Right? They got no irises or anything. It's just black, and so it's the eye of Erdon.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I picture
like
I'm picturing like you still have the white, but not the irises,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. That's
Just
what I'm
black circles. Yeah, that's very
Exactly.
cool.
yeah.
Oh, dude, that'd be creepy as all.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. Oh,
Um,
yeah.
Real life anime
See,
character.
Eye of Erdon.
Real life anime characters, guys.
It's like, yeah, no.
I could even picture like some like upper like priests having like one of those eyes.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
They
but
undergo some like crazy ritual surgery, some magic, whatever.
something.
To do that.
Yeah.
And that's
and
how you know they're an eye. Oh,
that's-
that can be their name.
Oh, the eyes. Oh, that's so good.
Perfect.
They're the
That's-
eyes
that's
and we are the hand.
Um,
Oh,
and so
beautiful.
there is, I imagine, the eyes feel to me like, they feel to me like there's not a lot of those, and I imagine there is one stationed in the city. There's one Eye of Erdon that watches over what our Windy City is.
Do we report to the eye, or can the eye not see what the hand is doing?
I think they're separate branches.
Okay.
But
at
like,
the same
you work
time-
together, but you're separate.
Yeah.
Our mission
Like
here is discreet
he wouldn't
from there.
order us, but at the same time, if we dropped in and flashed our badges,
Hospitality.
Yeah.
he'd be like, okay,
I think
what should I watch out for?
probably to an extent as well. I can picture some a little bit of competition there internally.
Mhm.
So I like the idea that this religion is like the stronghold, and I feel like there are members of the Empire Guard among the town guard and the watchmen here in the city that monitor things like exports and imports and stuff like that. So there are also just, I think, Empire Guard stationed in this city. Because that's classic ruler tactics right there.
Yeah.
Do we want to define anything else? Because I think we're going to be spending way more time in our Windy City, in Chicago, than we are in...
Oh, that's what we'll call Chicago. Perfect.
Hey.
Yeah.
It's fantasy Chicago, guys.
Fantasy Chicago. Just slam fantasy in front of it, and boom, it's not a problem anymore.
I'm
By
so
the way,
thirsty.
D&D time next Friday. Welcome to Chicago. I'm sorry. Go.
Chicago.
Fantasy
Chicago.
It's Chicago. You got it.
So I think that's as much as we need to decide about the world. Is there anything else that you guys have been kind of floating around and sitting on that really you would like to get into the world, or are you guys just feeling good and are? Because I'm really liking the direction that we ended up.
Yeah, no,
I think
I
we're
mean,
good where that is.
yeah, no, the main export of the inevitable empire is force. That's what I'm saying. Is that it's trained guards, it's well-made weapons, steel, it's iron. I like the
iron.
idea of the empire is based off a very rich iron supply, and that is how they were able to wage war against all these other smaller city-states with a greater ease. Is that it's and
Probably very
man
smog,
who can
very
sword
smoggy.
will have a sword, right?
Oh yeah, there's ash, there's smog, there's soot.
For sure.
I imagine
Oh,
Erdon,
God, ash
Erdon is
bounce.
the
Oh,
iron.
no. Mm.
That's what Erdon represents, right? He's that
Because we
natural.
were saying something of the earth before, and
Yeah.
Erdon
Yeah.
the Earthbinder.
Earthbinder.
Yeah, it's a very physical thing.
Iron is the blood of the earth. That's what the clerics of Erdon say.
Perfect.
There it is.
Beautiful.
And my next question for y'all before, there's a couple questions I was going to do after, which was are we doing a journey, or we're doing kind of, I think, a bodily thing in this Windy City,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think we're hard in on a bottle.
which
Windy
is
City.
rad.
Yeah.
And your alignment as a party is evil.
Lawful evil.
Lawful evil.
Yeah.
Lawful evil, unmistakable. But you guys are the alignment of your world, which is to say,
Are there other gods outside of these three that we've decided?
I think the
imagine
answer
there
is,
are.
I think the answer is yes.
Okay.
They just
And
have
if
no
you
prevalence.
want to, if one of you wants to interact with one of those and maybe make a cleric or something of another god in the world, I think that's something we could
Well,
definitely
asked-
do.
I asked because my character hates a god,
Oh yes, of course.
and I find it really hard to hate the wind.
Mm.
I mean,
You could hate the
Curse
sound.
the wind.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I could hate the sound.
Yeah.
Okay,
the
I'm gonna have to
noise,
think
the
about this a
terrible
lot.
noise. Oh.
Noise.
If there's one
Well,
thing
also
I hate, it's the
It's also encroaching on Erdon's realm.
But you
know?
got my reference. Thank you.
I who would but me, who's read that so many times.
So,
Everyone knows that the xylophone and the chimes are the greatest instruments ever. Woodwinds are trash.
Whoa.
oh,
I'm
Whoa.
acting in a sort of Jeremy's character
oh,
sort of manner.
thanks.
No shadows of win-win. I'm sorry that I'm eating ice right now.
Why are you eating ice right now?
I got a bad
What's
sunburn,
ice?
and so my whole, not like a terrible one, a light sunburn, but my whole body's very warm, and I'm just seeking cold instinctively.
Yeah, just get
I would
that
really like
ice
to
on
just-
your ears.
Yeah, I would
That's,
very much like to do that, but I feel like that would look very dumb on the stream, so I won't.
'Cause-
What I
but-
will do,
but
though,
chomping the ice doesn't.
yeah, you know how you gotta make sacrifices somewhere. And my last question is, how well is this the first time that you guys are doing this, or is this something that you guys do?
I feel
I
like
think this is something we've done
Yeah.
in
we've
terms
been
of like,
on it.
this is
least
routine.
Maybe
one-
this
yeah.
is. I like the idea that this one is bigger than your usual ask.
Yeah, but it's still asked the same task.
The biggest heist yet.
It's a water deep dragon.
Oh my goodness, it's water-based!
This
It's
is very different in tone than water deep
Winter
dragon.
Sound, political kidnapping, murder.
Well, that
Poisoning.
rolls right off the tongue. Yeah,
all right.
I think this is our biggest one yet, by far.
Okay, cool. So now that we're reaching this point, I would like to, and I think that where we're going right now, I think that we're going to finish this and have characters done in one day.
Yeah,
But
I think so
before
too.
we start talking characters, let's do the most fun thing that everyone loves to do,
Stats.
which is to roll stats. I have a new way of doing rolling stats that I would like to employ as like an inherent balancing on rolling stats, which is when you roll stats, if your highest number is below 15, you can move your highest number up to 15. Additionally, if your lowest number is above an 8, you have to move your lowest one down to an 8. So everyone is guaranteed at least one good and one bad stat.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the new Pete Lyons roll method that I've been using, and I've been liking
like
the
it.
results. But
What if your lowest
No.
number is below an 8?
Now, who would like to go?
yeah, we're
Five.
one at a time. I see Crowley is already in there typing.
Well, so
Um,
is Jeremy.
Well, not Jerry's too, yeah.
So is James.
Who would like to roll first? Would you like to roll for who rolls first?
Sure.
Oh yeah.
Roll me a.
roll
Wait,
70
roll the
points.
dice. Roll the dice, of course. What am I talking about? This is a game.
All right,
Oh.
70-20s, guys.
70-20? Oh,
I
boy.
got
Oh, Jeremy's winning.
I think I'm losing.
No, I'm the only one that matters.
Jeremy.
No.
Jeremy,
the
it
only-
is.
I can
Wins with one.
decide the order, right? That's
No,
what that
you go
means?
first.
You
Shit,
definitely go
what?
first.
What? That's all right. So we're doing 46 drop highest.
Wait, but then who goes next? Because none of the rest of us got
Yeah.
ones.
Um,
All of the rest of us got ones.
Oh, you go right to left, so it circles back around, and we go in order on the stream.
Oh, there we go.
James,
So
Crowley,
James-
and Kyle.
Oh, sick. I go last. Nice.
So it's 46 drop 1 is what you're doing.
Yep.
All right. Bye.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Nice.
17.
Big money.
10.
All right.
16.
Oh.
12.
Jeremy.
15.
Jesus.
12.
God
And
damn.
by the
what
rules
was-
of my system, your 10 is now an 8.
the
but-
10's an 8.
But pretty good rolls, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's solid.
Oh,
That's-
that is a. Those are the kind of rolls with which you can build whatever you want.
You wonder why I never roll. I mean, why I never get to play.
I'm
What
always
happened?
angry.
All right.
All right.
And my 10's an 8.
Take it away, James.
1,
Whoa.
All right.
2.
Oh, wow.
Hey,
Spicy.
Jeremy. How are you doing? 4, 5.
Oh!
I've been bested.
James
We
is
are
scary. James is scary.
Oh.
James, your 9's an 8.
Speechly. 20 charisma.
Specs,
And
bitch.
dexterity and
charisma.
strength.
Oh my
God.
God! If we're starting
Kyle,
at
we're so
7,
fucked.
We're fucked, dude.
Hey, with that attitude,
Mimsy, Mimsy.
It's me.
Crowley.
I'm next. Oh God.
Wow,
Whoa, see, look at this. Hey,
Mimsy, Mimsy.
that's that good. That's that good roll I like to see.
hey,
Oh, that's a perfectly acceptable character. Like,
All right.
That's fine. That's better
All
than
right,
Fido was.
Kyle,
I'm so scared.
you're going into some spicy round. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
just
Above average. Just above average.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last one.
All right. You're
Nice, actually.
you're
That's not.
10s and 8s.
That's not bad.
You're
10s
10s and 8, and
one
one
of
of your
your
14s is a 15 now.
holy
right,
shit,
well-
though.
I mean, I'm just balanced, which is
So James,
decent.
we're
You're above
OP,
average.
but
We're
you're more OP by a lot.
Yeah.
Jesus.
backspace,
I'm like.
It's a good thing you're
actually
playing the
kinda
bard. That
disappointed.
should bring you back down to our level.
right?
Oh,
You know, maybe I'll go Inquisitive Rogue. No.
I mean, that would work.
now this is where you go Paladin.
So,
Yeah,
I
with
think
that
the
stat
next-
block,
what-
Please
Paladin.
no.
Pete, without stealing wind from your sails, what were people thinking?
Yeah, that's the question.
Shadow Monk. I'm actually fully in on that idea. That
So we know that you're Kyle. You're locked in on Shadow Monk.
Yeah. How many fortunes
Jeremy-
did I get? 3?
You were originally the assassin guy. What did you have in mind?
So
13.
here's the problem. A lot of the times, I will be inspired to make a character based on a mechanic. The mechanic I'm interested in doesn't really do its thing that I want it to do until level 12.
Hmm.
So really, I am kind of open.
Okay.
I'm still debating because the way it is, it's a rogue. You take 3 levels in the assassin to get assassin rogue, and then you go wizard, so that you're kind of like that arcane assassin, which I'd be super into.
Okay.
So I'm kind of thinking that maybe.
You're thinking of
I
Rogue
also
Wizard.
do have my Beastmaster Ranger that I'm also really interested in, which would be what's the abyssal tiefling with the wings, and then a sturge beast companion that were both horrible bat creatures.
Oh.
So I'm between those two. I'm not sure.
Okay. So you're kind of leaning either Rogue or Ranger.
Yeah.
Rogue Wizard or Ranger.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Cool.
Ooh.
James Speck Speechley is, I think, the most understood character.
Backspatially. Yeah, I need to figure out what sort of I assume there's some sort of information network that always exists in these sorts of people wanting to get the news. You know, town criers instead of a town crier system. Precisely. I mean, there would be people passing out leaflets, and no, Spec Speechly is A+ propagandist. Okay, he's all about
Good,
pushing
I'm glad.
for the
I'm
will
glad.
of Erdon within the world, because it's best if you can understand and predict what people will do. Unpredictability is something he hates.
I
Alright.
feel like Spec Speechley was an honest-to-God journalist, and then as the tide shifted, his allegiances just like, I'm going to ride the wave of not getting wrecked. But like, Spec Speechley seems like he was doing this before the Empire wanted him to be doing
so
it.
like he found himself very much in line with the Empire and the party line, where he was just like, yeah, no, of course, people just need to follow the rules. That's why they're there. You don't have rules and then don't follow them. Then what is this world coming to?
I love. Do you have? So you were thinking Bard?
Yeah, College of Whispers Bard is something I haven't played. You know, I've barely even touched Bard at all, and this
Ever?
is something
Same.
that I don't have to be musically inclined exactly to feel like I can role play effectively. Because Pete, I'll never be able to match Tack's witty quips in his vicious mockeries.
That's here. Here I am. That's me.
So, James, are you human?
It's Spec Speechly. I'm not
And you
sure.
sound human. That was a
Are
question.
there non-humans?
Yeah, this was a
I'm
very
not
human world in my own mind.
Mm.
Yeah.
I
In my
think
brain, we were all humans.
Me too.
I was actually leaning towards like an elf of some kind, or maybe a halfling.
Like,
Well,
I think Specs Beachley was
Yeah.
almost a gnome in my head.
He did
But-
sound like a gnome.
I pictured
But-
a bird person.
An Aarakocra.
Ah, James,
I was
Aarakocra
also
with incredible stats.
I was
An
also thinking about
Aarakocra?
being an
Incredible
Aarakocra. Like,
I'll say this, like, if you guys are playing an Aarakocra, there's going to be some wild stuff with flight in the city made of wind.
oh yeah,
It's in
be
some
prepared
to be
cases,
sick.
good, in some cases,
some
really
cases
bad.
really bad. Yeah.
So chat's saying that they're into the assassin rogue, and you know what? I'm into the assassin rogue, so I'm gonna go with that assassin rogue wizard cross class.
All right, that's confirmed.
I definitely have the stats for it, so
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah, you can do
Fuck
anything you
yourself.
want.
Anything I can do better. Wait.
So mad.
Now,
Ooh, what?
James is going bard, Jeremy's rogue, your monk, which means we haven't, and also like rogue bard monk, and well, you're wizard too, but rogue bard monk. That's such an assassinate team too. That feels so
we're
right
gonna
for
hit,
what you're doing.
And we're gonna hit hard and fast.
You're gonna go in, you're gonna do your thing,
We're
and
gonna
no
get
one's
the
gonna
fuck
know that
out.
it happened.
Yeah.
Crowley, what are you thinking, barbarian?
No. No.
Are you sure about
That
that?
one, honestly, I was joking when I said it, but now I'm picturing just the berserker thug enforcer of the group, and that does sound like a cool archetype too. Do you have anywhere you're leaning yet, Crowley?
Druid.
Oh, druid.
God, a druid of ash. Jesus Christ.
I
Do you want to play
I
trash druid, Crowley?
Trash.
actually let me go look at the trash.
Honestly, if you're interested, you could. I would be totally cool with that.
The trash.
I'm definitely leaning toward druid. It's I think the one class I have played possibly the least in 5th edition. Maybe
Really?
Bard and Druid, I think, are the two.
Those are the two that I've spent probably the most time on.
I think those are the two I've spent the least time on. Maybe Sorcerer
Also
after that.
rogue. Maybe rogue too for me on top.
But yeah, I have not played a lot of Druid. I don't think I played any in Delves. I haven't played any yet.
I don't think I've ever played a
In
single druid because it just
DnD
doesn't
time.
inspire me.
Do you have like an angle for your druid? Are you thinking like a druid of iron, that kind of thing? Like, are you thinking of going in the Erdon direction, or are you thinking more of just like a discrete druid that's your own thing in the world?
Not sure yet. But the Druid of Iron or Ash is interesting. I don't know how that would work. Yep.
Druid of the earth, shake the foundations. I can picture that vibe for sure. All right, we can circle back around. As I was saying before, I was just picturing a lot of humans, just in my own mind. But Jeremy, so you said you were on the same page? Are you thinking you're playing a human?
I certainly don't see this character has anything in particular. I'm pretty open. Human would be a very good choice for it, and I was with you. I definitely saw this as a human party in a human world.
But what about so Kyle, you were thinking either a halfling or an elf,
Or an Aarakocra, to be
or an
honest with you.
Aarakocra.
Yeah, because I could see like any of those being like super fun for this class.
Yeah, for sure.
I can tell you, Halfling Monk is super fun.
I know.
Conceptually, like unless we're gonna change our like baggage, predisposition on elves, I find it really hard to think of elf and this iron wielding empire that we're building.
Yeah,
sure.
I figured if we were going to do that, we were going to come up with some lore for like who your character is in the world and like why you're an elf in this kind of, because I think like regardless of what you guys end up playing and what you guys decide you want to do, I feel like this is still a mostly human civilization is where my vibe is.
That's fair.
I think so.
James, Crowley, thoughts on that idea?
Well, I don't have a problem with, when I think of Empire, I just think human. And
Yeah.
like the Wind and Sound seems more like the elven place to me, right? Like
Hmm.
this is definitely some place that embraces freedom and beauty, whereas the Empire is, well, if we don't take a iron grip over these people, we're going to destroy ourselves. So
Well, so if I wanted to go with an elf route with that sort of idea in mind, it could be, kind of maybe one of those things where it's like I was pressed into service, right, and now I just kind of go along with it because I've kind of just been like beaten down and brainwashed to just go.
Jesus.
Oh
go
man,
with
that's.
this.
I mean, we did say we're gonna go some darker directions.
Yeah.
If that's the vibe that you want to go.
I kind of actually really like that.
You're like a traitorous elf. You're here to
Yeah, but
rein
not
in
by
your
choice.
people.
But not by choice, right? Like it's all under duress, but I don't
now
know
you
it's
would have
duress.
chosen. Yeah,
Right.
But now you would have chosen.
You
Right, but now I also lack the will of choice. So
So I guess what I was saying is like, would you
but you
say
love
that you're-
Big Brother now.
I do
now?
love Big Brother.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now that you have
I've taken a
kind
trip
of-
to Lake Laogai.
you've converted and you are on the
Yes.
you agree with the ideology. Okay.
Right.
How you got there was not the
through
best.
shifty means by the Empire.
I still don't know if I'm sold on this like being entirely an elven city. Because I
I
just
don't
have
think so either, but I think it's a place where
There
your
can be
race
elves.
doesn't matter
Yeah.
as much, right?
You think this place is a little bit more cosmopolitan than the
Yes.
Empire?
Yes.
Okay, I can definitely get behind that. I can definitely also see like just as there are, I'm picturing like a lot of like human. I was saying, what did I say before? Which I honestly it was a joke, but I kind of liked. It was wingineers. I was
the
picturing a lot of human wingineers up in the higher arches with like all of their like weird kind of like spectacles and stuff and all these different like pieces of equipment for reading wind direction and such.
Yeah.
But I can definitely picture like just as easily I could picture a gnomish one of those that like climbs up super high or elven ones. I think that like for this more than the Empire, which feels very human to me, this I could see being a little bit more diverse.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm in on that. So James, with that in mind, what are you kind of feeling for a?
Also, I think I'm changing my.
I think I'm just I'm going straight up human for
Going human for spec?
Speechly. Yeah, like he's gonna be a
Speechly.
small, innocuous kind of figure, right? Like
Sleight of
he does-
frame.
Yeah, no, like I think strength is gonna be my dump stat, but at the same time, the rest of my stats are monstrous. Like
I
I
can
will
tell you
have an
charisma's
18
like
dex,
a-
an 18 con, a 16 intelligence, and that's all before level 4 stat boost, right?
You're an impressive individual.
Right? If even I don't have to take the
Jesus.
variant human feat to fucking.
Beat.
I could just take the +1 all stats and I
Oh
get
Jesus!
4. I'll have 3 +4 stats. All right,
That's disgusting,
It
James.
is disgusting.
and a
Yo,
+3 in intelligence because why not?
Is there anything you don't want to see in this campaign, like class
Um,
and race and everything like that?
Yeah, I think we've already steered away from the ones that I wouldn't want to see.
What
Like,
didn't you want to see?
If
Just
out of
out
nowhere you guys were
curiosity.
like, we're all, well, I guess if you said we're all bugbears, I would have been okay with it. But if like, some of the really strange,
sure.
Yeah.
some of the really strange ones, like I feel like a Yuan Ti pure blood is like a whole nother dynamic that we aren't playing with.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Because I was
um,
thinking, I actually, rather than the wizard cross class, because I'll be honest, the feature I really wanted to engage with was the level 5 spell. What is it? Steel Wind Strike. Because
Oh,
they're,
yeah.
they're attacks, and so if you have assassin, you automatically crit on all of the ones you hit. If you get that on a surprise attack,
What's it called?
If- it's called Steel Wind Strike.
It's
What is it?
from
Because they're spell
Xanathar's.
attacks, you could just hit up to 5 creatures for 12 d10 force damage as your surprise round.
And
Which
then
is
and then
dope.
crit on
Fucking
all that.
Christ.
Yeah, exactly. Just annihilate it.
Oh my god.
Uh,
Now that's an
Now-
assassin.
Yeah, exactly, right. That's what I was like. That's the fantasy. But I was thinking now, because I'm looking at what like I get as a wizard, and the spells are cool, but I don't see this guy as much of a spellcaster. Like a little bit of magic, but not a ton otherwise. But I was thinking maybe a ranger is the secondary from the rogue ranger.
Oh.
Because I get that manhunter kind of feel.
Yeah.
So think about doing Beast Hunter and Beastmaster and Rogue.
No, I wasn't gonna do Beastmaster. I don't see.
Are you thinking of doing maybe wait, doing
I
which
was thinking
one?
like a Gloomstalker.
Yeah.
Oh, Gloomstalker.
Yeah.
Now, there's no natural explorer for city. I'm okay with that. Or if you were gonna homebrew something, that would be cool too.
Is there?
Obviously, I could pick favorite enemies that would work.
I mean, terrain. Your favorite terrain can just be
City.
can
Like
just be
urban
urban.
thing.
I'm fine with that.
Urban, yeah.
Okay, I don't think it makes much of a difference. Oh, coast because we're coastal. Sure.
Yeah. Coast, urban. I think either of those work.
So yeah, I think I'm definitely feeling that. It won't. Yeah, maybe it will be as strong. I don't know. It might not be as
Your
strong. But it
stats are
might be.
dumb. Like,
And you'll be invisible.
I will be invisible.
yeah.
Why? I think from what we talked about though, like I was picturing this as actually being a fairly like bright city.
Yeah, well, at night. I'm invisible at
Oh,
night.
yeah.
Okay,
No,
yeah.
we only
I
act
am.
at night.
I am the knight.
Very good. What a coincidence! Kyle's the knight.
Jeremy,
Oh.
we are the 9.
We're the knight.
Yeah,
Where is she?
except for Spec Speechly, who's the day.
Yes,
He's
Spec
the
Speechly is the
Speechly.
front. Spec Speechly is the face of this group.
That is without question. All right, I'm feeling that. Going the assassin ranger. I also like the two just. You and Kyle definitely feel like the two. We are kill.
We kill people.
Yeah, I kill.
We are kill. And I like that angle on Spec Speechly of you're setting the
Why haven't
groundwork,
I killed
doing
them?
the
I can
legs.
make them kill themselves.
Oh.
Oh, just
Crowley,
believe
have
everything
you
I say.
have you been any more inspired as you've been kind of moving through?
Yes, no. So I'm from a small village. That's the
Oh,
one
yes.
thing we established, and I'm not a kobold. And so that's the thing we established. And I'm probably gonna need a wisdom-based race. I'd favor that as a druid. So I'd assume furbolgs are out, and I don't really want to play a furbolg.
A Furbolg feels a little.
Yeah,
a
it
little
feels a little
too
too
weird.
out.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning human,
Dwarf. you could
half
do.
elf. I don't want to be a dwarf. Human, half elf, or I don't know if this one's too weird. A wood elf, or the possibly too weird one, Kenku.
Well, I had planned on being a wood elf.
Do you
already.
want to be I'll say this: if you're picking Kenku, do you want to do that the whole campaign?
I've been
I guess
doing
it's a
it
short
in another
campaign.
campaign.
But do you
That's
want
For
to
the
do
record,
the-
if I play a Kenku, I come up with lines that I learned other places. I'm not just gonna play off of everyone else because that's insane.
Okay. If you think like, I don't know, I've played. Have you ever played a Kenku and like really like? Do you think you can do a Kenku and have fun with it over the long term? Because my experience with Kenku is that I finished a one shot and been like,
Never
well-
again.
that's enough of that.
I have been playing a Kenku in another campaign.
And you just really like Kenku?
Yeah, I have fun with it because like I said, I'm making up my own shit. That
Pete's
yeah,
having a hard time
my
comprehending
characters
that people are
from
doing
the
Kenku.
past that I met in the past are where I get most of my words and sentences from.
Plus, you can
Like
be some of
that-
the comic relief
The,
alongside.
the character I play in that, his name is Rattles. He's a grave cleric. And so when people say, "What's your name?" he says, "Hello, Rattles," because that's what his friend Jack always used to say to him.
Fair enough. So if you are feeling a Kenku, Crowley, I ain't gonna stand in your way.
I'm not 100% in on the Kenku yet, but
Okay.
I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Just as a heads up, I was gonna be wood elf as a
You're gonna be a wood elf, okay?
yes. Yeah, but
so
we
let's
definitely
talk,
need some kind of comic relief somewhere because I am not going to be it this time, guys.
I'm definitely between Moon and Trash.
Let's talk your small village. Crowley, where do you think your
all
small village is? Do you think that you're from like a mining community just outside of the Empire? Or do you think you're from like a more rustic, like more kind of distant thing? If you're thinking of going with the more Erdon-based druid, or are you thinking about going to more like traditional, more foresty kind of archetype? What are you feeling?
So if I'm the Kenku, I'm from something closer, because Kenku tend toward urban areas
Hmm.
to an extent. If I'm not the Kenku, which I don't think I'm going to be the Kenku, I'm from some small village that was probably not mining, but probably like lumber focused, out in the woods. I sort of started going down that druid path there, and then my village is taken over, and
Your village was
I
brought
was
into the fold.
and I was similarly brainwashed.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah,
Hi,
buddy.
welcome. Can I interest you in a few pamphlets about our glorious leader Erdon?
Oh,
Conscripted.
does it invite me out to a certain lake?
I was conscripted. I was definitely conscripted.
Another
You'll see that
thing,
the way of life here is absolutely fantastic.
an idea to throw at you, Crowley. You could be from a small village, like another druid archetype you could play with is you could be from a small village near our windy city, and that's why you are the one that's going on this.
Possibly. I'm not opposed to that either.
That's an angle that we could do too,
Mhm.
where you guys you have maybe a little bit more knowledge about the city, and kind of what's going on. Even though you're not like you didn't spend a lot of time there, but you were at least like near it, so you have some
Mhm.
like rough sketches.
But we're gonna start 7th level, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys are trained.
Mm-hmm. Oh my god.
I have my really sick feature, so I'm happy about this.
Is it the shadow teleportation?
Oh,
or
yeah.
whatever? Yeah, it's
Oh,
righteous.
yeah.
It's really cool.
I'm just going to show up behind people and slit throats. Like that's how this character operates.
So many choices.
So Jeremy, you're human rogue,
Human rogue ranger.
human rogue ranger. James, you're human bard. Kyle, you're wood elf monk.
Yes.
And so let's talk, because I think Crowley wants to interact with the same piece of lore as you are, which is that
Yeah.
the Empire takes people and kind of puts them in line with their own viewpoint.
Correct.
Well, there's only one right viewpoint, you know, and that's Erdon's will.
There it is. There it is.
Yee.
Now-
Spatially.
Spec Speechly.
How many pictures of Spider-Man do you
Erdon
have?
fan.
How many pictures of Spider-Man? do you have?
I want pictures of Spider-Man.
Get me pictures of Spider-Man.
So this idea that this is something
Give me
that
pictures of the wind.
this is something that the Empire does. I mean, I imagine the figures that carry out this process are the eyes of Erdon. That
Yes.
seems like something that the
Oh,
eyes
yeah.
would do, 100%. How thorough would you say that the process? Like, do you think?
I have no attachment to anything from my past. I don't remember anything from my past. I've always existed.
You are
in the
you
eye
are
of
a
Erdon.
tool of Erdon now. That is what
Exactly.
you are. Okay.
Yes.
Um,
I carry out his will, and that will that is put towards me from the eyes, as I am the hand of Erdon that shapes the world.
I mean, fair enough.
And there's nothing
Crowley,
better to be.
Do you think your character is as converted?
No. I think I was young when I was pulled in. So I didn't really need to be brainwashed. They just sort of steered me in a direction.
Okay, so I think that
So I have a much more optimistic view of the Empire than, or I have a much more non-forced.
maybe a more nuanced version of
Yeah,
the
my
Empire.
character's probably about 200 years old. If I had to take a stab at it.
Yeah, and you've been doing this for a bit now. Like, you're probably known, like, because I feel like there's other people in the hand other than you. Not a big group, but you guys probably aren't the only 4. And I
Yeah.
feel like when people work with you, it's like the things that they say about him, just he's efficient, he does what needs to be done. Like, yeah.
He's efficient. He's good at what he does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for you, Crowley, like, if you were taken at a young age, were you just like conscripted into the army? Because obviously they have an army.
Yeah. Yeah, and then they figured out, oh, you got
You
those
have-
abilities.
you
We
have
can
magic.
make use of this. Yeah, you have
Um,
magic.
And I think magic, in a world that we've decided is kind of lower magic, I think that's a one-way ticket to,
Higher.
well, the Black Hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, how old are you, for one thing? How long have you been with it?
Me or Kyle? Oh, me.
You.
Yeah, I already said my age.
Yeah.
Are you, like, grizzled at this point, or is this you, like,
No,
are now
I'm-
kind of
I'm-
coming into your age, your adulthood?
Yeah, I'm pretty young.
Okay. Child young, or, like, just now a man young?
Early to mid-20s, yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is probably like, this seems also like the time in your life where you might start to think, I don't know about all this.
Might be, yeah.
Because you were saying that you might not
son,
be as
don't
sold.
ever get a doubt in your head. Spec Speechly will tell you the Spec Speechly is going to be somewhere like 45, 50. He's going to be like a middle age. No, he's going to be upper 50s, right?
Spec
He
Speechly
looks
sounded older to me.
Like he's definitely he started getting letters from the AARP, okay? But he's
The AERP?
yeah. But he's definitely not, decrepit. Like he doesn't look very nice, all right? Spec Speechly's a bit ugly. I'm putting that down here. He's not the nicest looking guy, but he's got a sort of, just a natural charm to him that it's just like, that guy, he says all those like really weird stuff, but he's just a harmless old man, He just really believes in what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's just with the party.
He's
Just
so
the party, yeah.
he's so earnest.
And that's Spec Speechly.
Spec Speechly.
Is Spec Speechly earnest?
For the most part, yes.
Yeah.
I don't. Spec Speechly for certain believes in the party line more than anything. However, I would say that he has an ambitious streak to him. That would be that would be something that kind of gets him in trouble at times. He believes there should be a tongue of Erdon, and that should be him. There's the eyes, there's the hand. What? Spec Speechly is out here spreading the good news. I'm the tongue of Erdon. Come on.
That's really good. Also, it doesn't seem like he's so much a manipulator and a deceiver as he is a convincer.
Mm-hmm.
If that's fair to say, is that?
Oh yeah,
in line
no,
with what you're thinking?
because he's speaking the truth, nothing but the truth.
There it is. Jeremy, what about who you are? We know what you're playing, but what about who you are?
Yeah, so I think my character, for some reason, really hates the sound, right? Hates the beauty side of this Faith of Wind, and therefore hates these nobles, right?
Did you request to be on this job?
I think so, yeah. And I think this character was driven to their life of murder, basically, as a retribution almost. I think whoever this character is, whatever their name ends up being, something happened to them very early on where they had put a lot of faith in this religion,
Mm-hmm.
and it failed them.
So do you think you're also from here?
I don't know. If there's that faith somewhere else, then maybe from somewhere else. But I think it'd be very reasonable if this character could be from here.
And I like the
probably
idea.
a long while ago, probably when they were younger.
Maybe in that case, you almost sound because you hate the sound, which is the way the upper crust sort of twists the religion for their own. You seem like someone who is not only just got it against the sound, but probably also the nobility in a sense, because that's what it represents. Yeah,
absolutely. Because I feel like maybe when this character was very young at the time, and maybe it was during one of the big wars or whatever, when the Empire was first really founding itself a decade or two ago, right? because I figure this character late 20s, maybe early 30s. And yeah, the wind like conscripted someone and they died, something like that. I'm trying to come up with something that's more than just someone this person cared about died, and that's
like, what about
but-
like a failure of technology or something like that? Like things that were supposed to work failed and didn't protect him, or
yeah, the wind just didn't blow that day.
oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
Oh,
and so
lighter.
Oh,
the
yeah.
and so the chimes never sounded, and the
Didn't
city
sound
was,
the alarm. Was
yeah,
sacked.
right. Yeah, exactly.
And maybe this seems less maybe like the main city. Maybe this wasn't at that city.
Right, but it's
in
just
just another-
pure
maybe this
betrayal.
is-
It's a
maybe this
pure
is the
betrayal
rebuild,
by the
right?
god, right?
Oh
is
yeah,
as
this
it's
is
been
like
rebuilding.
I think that's very cool. Oh, but that was during the war.
Yeah, like 20 years ago is the key. And so this is a while since then. It's
yeah,
all
and
rebuilt
that's-
here.
Yep.
And yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, and,
And
so
so
That's sick. I like that idea a
very
lot.
cool.
yeah, and I mean he wasn't a good guy before that.
Oh
But-
yeah,
But now
was
he has
maybe,
an outlet.
Maybe he was like a lower noble, right? Or part of a lower noble house, and part of like the deal that the upper crust made to save their own bacon ended up, completely trashing
trashing
the
him.
lessers. Yeah.
And I love that like. I love
so
that like mental imagery though. Also, just the day the wind did not blow is so evocative.
It's
Yeah.
very vivid. And so like he was brought into the Empire proper. He was like made to leave the city for some reason or another as like the new guard entrenched, or as the upper crust re-entrenched themselves and started rebuilding.
Hmm.
And yeah, he kind of just went from there and went down this path. I imagine he was like a bad guy before that, but not in like the killing people sense. He like hunted for sport and things, like fancy noble things.
Yeah.
And was also just really evil. Like was also a bad guy.
I also kind of like the idea that you kind of maybe finding a little bit of faith in this like higher power.
Yeah.
Like that might have been like the start of
Well,
you.
I
Maybe
think he
I can
bought
be
in.
something else.
He bought in really, really hard to the like, as long as I create these things of beauty, right?
Oh.
It's okay. And then that completely crumbled around him, literally to the hands of this other god.
See,
Very
Erdon
cool.
will never deceive you like that.
Wow, okay.
The
okay.
ground's always gonna be there.
Your ground is beneath your feet. You fall down, bam, there it is. Hits the ground. There to push you back up. What do you think? You think you push yourself up? No, it's the ground that pushes you up. That's Erdon.
I love that.
Oh, that's really good.
I love that phrase. But yeah, I mean, I don't know much more about the character.
Oh no, we're
but-
still going, but I think that's a super strong direction. And Crowley, you got any more kind of ways that you're leaning, starting to hear more stuff?
I'm gonna be a moon druid. I
Oh,
like
yeah.
trash, but I'm
And-
kind of interested, and this is more of just a gameplay perspective of the assassin applications of the beast shape feature.
Interesting, like Panther and stuff. Is that what you're?
Or maybe that, maybe like infiltration
Rats?
and that kind of stuff. Rats, weasels.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool things
There's
I
a
think
lot
you
of
can
like
play with
weird.
Yeah.
Because everyone always just fucking turns into a bear, but it would also be cool to turn into a spider and then pull someone up into the ceiling and kill them
there.
as
That
an
is-
assassin.
That is absolutely true. I really like that angle. Do you know? You thinking race yet?
Human or half elf.
Okay.
I think I'm definitely somewhere remote, or was from somewhere relatively remote. Like I don't know anything about this city.
Okay. Yeah, you don't want to do anything affiliate. Maybe just like a distant lumbering or.
Yeah, something.
But like,
nothing...
if you want to, in terms of like beasts that you've seen, I think the way I'm kind of like to do that is pick which ones you want, but you don't have like everything forever, but you can have any ones that you want and you know that you want.
Okay,
If that makes sense.
I'll work on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like just basically build out a list for yourself that you think makes sense for what you've been like if you're from like a logging village, forest, like giant spider, of course.
So I've been part of the Empire for the last like 15 years at least. So I imagine understanding my powers, have also sought to show me specific creatures.
Having you like learn, like I imagine you've done a lot of like things in mines and like even like the Underdark too. Probably like, oh, look at this weird thing we found down here. Be it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'm sure there's like things like I feel like they tried to make you turn into a carrion crawler, and it just you're like I just can't.
Yeah. I can't do that, guys.
That seems like something they'd be almost trying to like push you into like being able to transform into monstrosities, which is impossible. Yeah. Okay, I think that's rad. Kyle, I'm also interested in your character because you're like very efficient and
Yes.
like what's your personality? Like how do you do? Are you like
I have none. I am murdered.
Oh, jeez.
No, like that's no. That's the whole character. I don't speak to anyone unless I have to. Right? I do everything efficiently, no matter what it is. I don't make friends easily. I don't make friends at all, period. Actually, I would consider none of you my friends. You are people...
Oh, we're all friends under Erdon, my friend.
Yeah, you and I are definitely not on good terms.
Oh, come on.
But like,
You're the exact opposite kind of person who I want to...
I mean, Erdon allows us to smile. We're allowed to feel joy, you know.
like I'm curious, does your character even care about... Like,
No.
I see, I'm interested. Like, do you care about Spec Speechly and him being kind of annoying, or is it just like
Nope.
water over the dam, water off a duck's back?
Pretty much. He has his role to fill in our group, and he does that very well. So I appreciate that. As far as him as a person, what he likes, what he doesn't like,
Just
what
don't care.
he believes in, I have no fucking care in the world about him.
Now,
Whether he lives or dies also isn't technically high on my list, but it's better if he lives.
now, here's an idea I'd like to throw at you, and tell me what you think of it.
Sure.
Do you think your character has any like minor quirks that are from a time that you don't remember at all, and you don't know where they come from, but they just
I
kind
like
of like
that, but they just
that's
shine
really
through
good.
no matter what.
Yeah, it's just like you don't know why it is that you get a little bit choked up when you look at, when you look at a bell kind of hanging in the wind, and you don't know why it is that whatever it is that you pick, but there's just a couple of things
I
that,
like that.
that couldn't be got rid of because they're just like in you.
They're actually part of my person, and there's nothing you can do to get rid of it. Yeah, I think
Yeah, there's something absolute about you that's still like there inside.
Yeah, I think that definitely exists. I don't know what it is yet. I was actually,
Yeah, I mean that's something
as
that you'll
we
have
were
to come
talking,
up.
I was actually in the middle of like typing out an actual backstory for this character, which for the stream,
Going all in.
be shocked. All right, I never do this.
Yeah, I've
guys.
never seen Kyle do that.
I've done this.
And I've
I've done
played a
this
lot of
once.
D&D with Kyle.
I've done this once for a campaign that we didn't even fucking play, James.
Oh, the barbarian.
Yeah. Oh
There's
my
a
god,
lot-
I was so in on that character.
The
There's a lot
barbarian.
of,
The barbarian, man. I did it, and then we just didn't fucking play it. I was so
and I
mad.
feel like there's so many cool things you could do with that too. Like even things like you just have a weird preference for a particular drink and stuff like that. Like there's so many little things that you would still, I don't know. There's a lot to play around with there. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with it.
Why do you always order that? It's what I order.
Yeah.
Because it is.
I'm so into this. This is gonna be excellent.
Yeah. Oh man. I am so in on this character. And it's like I'm actually really surprised and I'm excited about this character because this is nothing that I ever play. Except for the fact that it's an elf. Like that's the
Well,
only
the elf. So
thing.
you're an elf boy. You love.
I
the
am
elves,
an elf boy. I like elves. Elves are really cool.
But I feel that for sure.
It's like this actually has no spellcasting ability at all.
You
It has
don't
no
have
charisma. It has no personality. Like, oh
Kyle,
man,
sounds perfect for you.
yeah, right.
Oh.
Yeah.
A roast.
Kyle, why don't you
Not
play
quite as
Warforged?
savage as Kyle's previous roast of James.
Sounds like the perfect setting for a
Oh wait, hold on a
Oh,
second.
can we
Wait,
not?
wait,
Can we not bring that up, please?
wait, hold on a second. Let me look over the notes I have for the. Oh wait, there's no Warforged in this world. Super. Yeah, just looking over the notes. And, yeah, there are.
Just ran the
Army here.
numbers, did the
Yeah.
math.
Yeah. Weird. I don't know.
Next
Oh,
time,
one
I guess.
One that I had on the list, but we never talked about, and it didn't feel the economy of the world.
I don't think it matters.
I don't know if that really
Yeah.
matters.
I don't think it does either, but I figured I'd throw it out there. I think that we're in a really good place. I think that we have 3 strong factions, which are the religious groups, the nobility, and then the empire loyals.
Yeah.
I think that we got the makings of a really cool campaign here.
Are we
I
all
don't-
male?
Yes.
That's
I'm
a-
a dude.
I am.
That's the question.
Spec Speechly, definitely a man.
Sex speechly is, yeah.
Is a
Or
dude.
that's his ultimate con.
Oh,
What should I say? Her?
Chaos.
I'm typing this out as speak. Damn you. No, but Spec Speechly. So the thing is, Pete, you asked me earlier, is Spec Speechly earnest? Spec Speechly will use underhanded means to get the truth out there. All right. So I'm going to go with the spy background, right? The variant criminal spy, and because he's all about getting into where dissidents hang out and just being like, well, guys, I know you think that the Empire's not so great and everything, but think about it. You know, think all these things. Think about the stuff.
you're
Don't you
willing
like
to
aqueducts? We made aqueducts.
you're willing to lie a little bit about what your own beliefs are to then tell people about what your beliefs are later.
Exactly. I
Just-
will lie to people to gain their trust and then use that trust to tell them the truth.
Indeed. Unless anyone else has any things that they'd like to say about their character or throw out, then I think that this
I'm
is in.
human.
Like I said, it's decided.
Ooh, it's decided.
Also, we got a
Totally
mostly
not
human.
Oh,
yeah,
that feels so good.
that
feels
also
so good
feels
for this
very right for
character.
your character to be like kind
Yeah.
of the exception in that regard.
Yeah.
The weapon.
Yep. I am the ultimate.
He's the model elf. Have you ever seen one?
Oh, jeez.
Oh, don't. No, James, you can't do that.
What?
That's
you
the
said you won't care?
Machine.
He's the machine.
He's
I'm the machine.
A different variety of machine, but he's the machine.
Yes, I'm a
Um,
very, very different variety of the machine that I talked about at the beginning of this.
I think with that, next time we
Oh,
play.
wait. So
Oh.
James's name is sorted out.
Oh yeah, do you guys want to do names?
Oh shit.
Do you want
I
to
don't
try?
know.
Do you want
I
to
don't-
do?
I don't want to necessarily do a random name for this character. I just
I
want to
respect
see what
that.
everybody else.
I
is
100%
doing.
respect that.
Oh, Jeremy's doing it.
Boy.
Wait, 2d8 plus 2, Jeremy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
2d8 plus 2. No, it should
All right,
be.
so
Are
that
you
way
doing
you
are you doing a
get-
first and last?
It should be 1d8 plus 2, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
1d8
But you could just
Yeah.
use the first dice or do first
So
and
it's
last and do
6.
2 different names.
So I have 6 that I need.
Yes.
Yeah.
Flip your coins.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've done this, guys. What is it? Oh god. 62s. Yeah.
Consonant,
Oh.
consonant, vowel, vowel, consonant, consonant.
That's pretty good, actually.
That's actually
Yeah,
really
it could
good.
be worse. If you get some nice diphthongs, you're gonna get a great name.
So D20.
4 d20s.
Yep.
Boom.
Z.
Oh no.
That's good for a first letter, though.
That's actually not a bad first letter.
B, C, D, F, G, H, J, K, L, M. N is 11. P is
P is-
12.
Yep.
ZP. Oh, jeez.
E,
Uh,
Q, R, S.
And for the record, just to explain to anyone who hasn't seen us do this before,
T.
we have an old tradition where we roll our names with this weird system we made up. You roll a d8 plus 2 to determine the number of letters, so you get between 3 and 10 letters.
oh
Then
no.
you flip a coin for
No,
each
those are
letter
good
to see
letters.
whether it's a vowel or a
Honestly.
consonant. And then if it's a consonant, you roll a d20 to determine which consonant. If it's a vowel, you roll a d6, and we count y as a vowel.
Oh, twice.
Z,
Uh,
P, V. So Z.
Zapoonven.
Zapoopin.
Zapoovin.
Zapon.
I don't know how I'm gonna do that. Oh boy.
I mean, that's a rearranger if I've ever
That's
seen one.
really not bad. Woohoo! 3 letters.
Alright.
Yes, my name
Those
is
could-
Von
those tend to be-
Paz.
I like that actually. I like that a lot.
One pass.
Is it?
Reroll it. Reroll it. Impossible.
All right.
No. Just let's see. We gotta see where it goes.
Okay. If he gets
To
3
the
unusable vowels though, like
I really
three
hope that he
Ys.
gets. I really hope that he gets 3 1s and his name's just ah.
145.
AOU. Ow.
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 I mean, it's
Ow.
not a name.
Let's just reset.
Ah,
Let's
you.
just reset.
No, you keep the 3 letters. Reroll your reflip your
Really?
coins.
All right.
Doable.
All right. So 2d6 is Y and O, right? Yeah, Y and O.
You.
You got a lot of
Yeah.
things that you can go with that.
Boy.
Boy. Your name is Boy. Boy.
Or
Or
Yob.
it's Yob.
Or Yob. Kinda like Yob. As the
Oh,
comedic
I
relief.
guess
of the
I'm
group.
Yob. Wasn't even gonna be the comedic relief, but I guess I am now. Hey, everybody, it's me, Yob.
It's me, Yob.
Crowley, you can also just pick a name.
Yeah, you can also just pick a name. I'm going to pick a name. I don't know what it's going to be yet.
Like, also, there's a cool story in there I think you could do where you there, boy. What's your name? Just boy.
Boy.
Like, there's something almost cool about that.
Oh, God. I kind of...
This is my
Squadus
name.
has a good
Here's the thing.
point.
I am P. Nozov.
I was feeling Von Paz.
I liked Von Paz, dude.
Paz?
Yeah,
I liked Von Paz.
You're
Knobs
really
up.
feeling Von Paz?
I was just
Yeah.
saying P nose up. What's the P stand for?
I don't know. Whatever Peter is in Russian.
Pieter.
Peter.
Piotr.
Pieter.
Pieter.
Yeah,
Pieter
Peter.
Nozov.
Pieter.
That sounds almost like a name.
Yeah, I can buy it. 100%.
So
Maybe
here's,
Von Paz. I'll keep thinking about Von Paz.
here's the thing with my character, right? Is I feel like with how his backstory has shaped up and everything like that, I feel like he doesn't get an actual name. He just has like this code name that he's referred to constantly.
He's got a just an assigned name, like a Grey
Yeah.
Worm.
Yeah, type
Now,
deal.
Kyle,
Yeah.
I understand you're super fearless. Have you considered the RP implications of this character?
I have.
Okay,
No, I absolutely have.
that's all I got.
It's very much outside of what I normally do, which is kind of why I'm excited about it.
You mean Kyle will do the plot as it's told to him?
As it is written,
This
I
is
won't
written,
split the
so
party.
shall it be.
I won't split the party unnecessarily.
My God.
There it
Yeah,
is.
right? There it is, folks. That's my defining trait. Is I always split the party.
We got Spec Speechly. We got P Nozov. We got
I could also be
a name to be
Bonzov.
determined. Ponzov. My name is. I mean, again, like the random names sometimes give you gold, but if you guys aren't feeling them, also, I don't judge anyone who leaves a random name because I do it all the time.
I mean, I didn't roll a random name. I just had this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Spec Speechly is just a.
I'm gonna
fun
be
name.
boy.
You're gonna go with it.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Back speech.
There's something. Yeah, I think there is something legitimately cool about that name, just boy.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah.
Boy.
Oh boy.
Hey.
Alright,
Oh,
let's
but-
not,
but
let's
get-
not have any racist undertones. please.
Oh, I mean that wasn't the angle.
No,
I
I'm
think.
just-
It was
Yeah.
just Kyle's slightly southern accent. Just
What?
Yeah.
what?
Oh, I didn't even hear.
Yeah, that's just a
Yeah,
kind of bad
yeah,
habit.
please.
Yeah,
Please don't.
yeah. I won't.
But with that, now that we all have names, I think that this is a great place to. I think that this is a great place to stop.
I
And
agree.
next time we play, I think it's session 1. I was talking about maybe taking 2 sessions, but I think we did what we had to do. Are you guys in agreement on that?
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know what else we'd have to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything else either. So unless you guys wanted more time to
I'm
really
so into this.
get
It's gonna be
deep.
very good.
Agreed.
Pete, I assume you're going to determine the specifics of like the mission and everything.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
what our goals are within the city. Because I
Yeah.
imagine we got a bunch of them. Leading
For
up
sure.
to, of course, the big one.
to destabilize the area. And well, you guys are assassins. I'll tell you right now, inevitably your mission is going to be to
Kill somebody.
assassinate something at some point.
Fair enough.
So with that, we're gonna wrap up for the night. So thank you
What?
all so
Did you
much
roll
for
health?
thank you all so much for watching and hanging out. For starters, do any of you guys have any shout outs?
Well, of course,
there
every
it is.
time, forever. Fred's Franks in Wakefield, guys. We're open not just in the summertime. We're going to be open all the way until the snow keeps us from cooking hot dogs. And by snow keep us from cooking hot dogs, I mean snow keeps customers from coming to see us cooking hot dogs, because we're here for you. All right, the customers. I mean, none of you have ever visited, and I really hope you do someday. But Fred's Franks, Wakefield, Massachusetts. Go exit 40 off of Interstate 95. Go around the rotary. You'll see our cart there with the big grills on the back. Stop on by. Have yourself the Schnurble. Our signature sandwich is made up of a regular pearl beef dog, 2 pieces of chorizo, made up special with mayo, sweet cabbage, and our own special sriracha baba sauce, called the #1 hot dog in Massachusetts by Reader's Digest. Look it up.
There it is, folks. Look it up. They're incredible. Crowley, any shout outs?
Play Fire Emblem.
There it is. Kyle?
You're welcome,
I got
Nintendo.
nothing.
In
nothing?
that case,
Yeah, I
In that
actually
case-
have nothing.
Jeremy, do you wish to
Yeah.
speak forth?
If you guys loved what you saw tonight, which you better have, then you should check out all of our other awesome content. Here on the DnDTime channel, we do all sorts of Dungeons & Dragons related content throughout the weeks. On Wednesdays, we do either DnDTime Brews or DnDTime Talks, which are respectively a homebrew session where we create cool magic items and race options and things like that. Or a talk show where Pete and I talk about all things D&D. Not totally decided what we're doing this week, but I'm thinking we might go in the brews direction. So that should be exciting. Pete and I will talk and decide it after the show. And of course on Fridays, Pete and Jeremy's D&D Time is a blast. It's just going to be a lot of fun, so stay tuned for that. If you're looking for all the updates on our shows, or want to learn more about what we do, you can check out our Discord server. Links going in the chat in one hot minute. And you can check out our website, dndtime.stream.
There it is. That's
I got
all the
it.
stuff. Thank you very much, Jeremy. I can't wait to see you all again at all the other shows we do. I'm really excited for this campaign. I love literally everything that we came up with. I like all the characters.
Yeah.
It's all like, I don't know. I really like the direction.
This is gonna be fun.
It's
can't
all
wait.
coming together.
And well, we'll see you in a week for episode 1. I have so much to do now. We'll see you for episode 1. That's it.
He's Pete.
He's
No.
Pete.
He's Pete.
He's Jim. Fuck. He's Pete.
Nice.
And I'm Pete, and this is D&D Time Tales. Good night, everyone.
He's Pete.
Bye.
Bye.